wherever you listen to podcasts. David Crowley today after Francesca Hong conceded the race following what else? A late night ballot dump and administrative delays because of, quote, human error in the city of Milwaukee. After she conceded the race at about 3 o'clock this morning, Crowley formally accepted the party's nomination at about 9 o'clock today.
After we rebuilt this campaign with purpose, and after people of Wisconsin decided that the bright future that working Wisconsin families deserve is worth fighting for. Today, I stand before you filled with gratitude, with humility, and hope as I formally accept the Democratic nomination to be the next governor of the great state of Wisconsin.
And of course, the Democrats spent all day pretending that they were entirely united and unified behind Crowley, that 6-month flirtation with the socialist movement, where the party's voter base actually was just that. And now they are firmly behind David Crowley and Tony Evers and all of the other corporate Dems, as the socialists call them, who they were wholly rejecting just a couple of weeks ago. Crowley, in his speech this morning, said his victory really doesn't belong to him alone. It belongs to the people.
Now, this victory belongs to so many people. It belongs to every volunteer who knocked doors in the heat, who made phone calls late into the evening, who sent text messages and hosted neighborhood gatherings. It belongs to every supporter who contributed what they could, who shared our message and inspired others to get involved. It belongs to every Wisconsinite who believed that their voice could make a difference.
That's quite ironic, because the voices of Democrat primary voters were once again effectively suppressed by a Democratic Party who really deserves all the credit for Crowley's win, because they spent nearly a full year ensuring that party insiders, big labor, yes, the billionaire donor class that the socialists hate and corporate Dems pretend to hate so much, and other people connected with the party's power structure, and not the people, were the ones who really had all of the power to pick the nominee. They, in other words, were the ones whose voices mattered. The voters most certainly did not. You see, Francesca Hong led every poll by double digits, by 20 points in some cases. She had all the energy, all the buzz, all the momentum, and she had the Democratic Party's left-wing voter base firmly behind her. But she still lost. And she lost to a candidate who actually dropped out of the race in early July, saying it had become clear that there was no way he was going to be the party's nominee. Until, of course, the exact moment that the party decided he would be the nominee and brought him back in to stop the socialist takeover. Just like the Democratic Party's National Committee denied socialist Bernie Sanders its presidential nomination in both 2016 and 2020, and then just sort of coronated Kamala Harris in 2024 after President Biden dropped out, the state's Democratic Party worked tirelessly for 8 to 9 straight months, if not longer, to deny voters the candidate they wanted, and instead foisted upon them the candidate that party insiders preferred. But just as important as who that preferred candidate was who that candidate was not. You see, from the earliest stages of this campaign cycle in the fall of 2025, it was clear that the Democratic Party was not going to let a leftist, especially one with a tremendous amount of baggage, be its standard bearer. Now, late 2025, that wasn't Francesca Hong. It was Mandela Barnes. The earliest public polling on the Democrat primary in September of 2025 showed him with a commanding lead, really on the strength of nothing more than his name recognition. And party leaders, they realized they had a major problem. Barnes was the Democrats' anointed candidate for the U.S. Senate in 2022, but after the party forced all three of his opponents in that primary from the race, while early voting was going on, Barnes managed to bungle the general election so badly that one of National Democrats' top targets, Senator Ron Johnson, won a narrow victory on the same ballot where Governor Tony Evers won re-election relatively comfortably. Now, Democrats were not going to make the same mistake with Barnes twice. And they took the unprecedented step, we learned a few weeks back, of compiling an opposition research dossier on one of their own candidates. As Barnes was very publicly flirting with a run in October of 2025, the Democratic Party of Wisconsin actually hired an outside law firm to investigate some long-standing rumors that Barnes had for years been using his status within the party to strike up relationships with young women, many of those women much younger than him. Now, all of those women were of age. None of them alleged any wrongdoing. But the party still kept that dossier as a sort of insurance policy to stop a Barnes candidacy in its tracks the very moment that candidacy became a problem. Now, party insiders then engaged in a public and private smear campaign against Barnes. They actually coordinated a New York Times hit piece against him that all but broadcast to the entire nation that Barnes had no shot at winning the party's nomination for governor. Barnes jumped into the primary anyway. And while the polls for months still showed him leading the field, he barely did any campaigning. And he continued to sort of skate by on name recognition alone. But what neither Barnes nor the Democratic Party's leaders saw coming, though, was a challenge coming from Barnes's left, his far left. Hong, a socialist who fully embraced every single one of the socialist movement's most radical and least politically viable ideas, caught fire with the voter base and steadily grew her following through the savvy use of social media and a campaign focused on pushing the party farther left than it had ever dared to publicly admit that it was going. No one inside the party ever had a problem with Hong's radicalism per se. They agreed with most of her ideas. But as she grew in popularity and as she solidified the left-wing vote, party leaders began to seriously get concerned over her ability to hide her insanity from voters. Now, you see, pretending to be a moderate and then unleashing a radical left agenda once elected, that's a time-honored tradition for Democrat candidates, and Hong seemed to be completely unable to do that. By early summer, that became a major, major problem. Poll after poll after poll showed her steadily building her lead, while it became clear that the socialist brand was becoming more toxic to general election voters. In New York's Democrat primary, a socialist sweep followed the very next week by a socialist candidate unseating a 15-term Democrat congresswoman in Colorado shifted the national focus away from President Trump's impact on Republicans' chances in the midterm to the socialism impact on Democrats. Now, this terrified the Democratic Party of Wisconsin because it recognized that both socialism and Hong's personal nuttiness would spell doom in the general. By late June, party leaders got to work doing exactly what they had done 4 years earlier, cajoling, bribing, or even blackmailing every candidate to drop out except the one the party selected. That wasn't Crowley. It was Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, not because she was a uniquely qualified or politically gifted candidate, but because she was the only viable option. Now, in truth, the party never actually liked her. Governor Evers very famously refused to endorse her when she announced her candidacy the day after he said he wouldn't seek a third term in July of 2025. She got no major endorsements, no big donor money, no traction in the race for a full calendar year, until Democrats absolutely panicked at Hong's rise in early July and started eliminating her competition. First, Missy Hughes dropped out of the race and endorsed Rodriguez while urging every other candidate to do the same. Then, David Crowley did likewise, even going so far as to say that he recognized that his party had rejected him and that he would not be the nominee. But in order to stop Hong, and with her, a socialist takeover of the party, he said, without explicitly saying it, that it was imperative that every other candidate drop out or else. He said all candidates should be looking really hard as far as what do they want to see as an outcome. I think it's extremely important that all of us as candidates start to make decisions about how we win this race and make sure that we're keeping the Democratic Party, keeping the people at the center of these decisions. Naturally, the people were at precisely the center of none of those decisions, which were being made very quickly behind closed doors. Democrats had their candidate until very suddenly they didn't. Just a couple of days after Crowley's endorsement, Sarah Rodriguez dropped the mother of all Sunday night news drops. Her campaign didn't actually have the $1 million or more in cash on hand that it had been claiming it had for months, and had to fire campaign manager Kara Spencer for grossly inflating donations on campaign finance reports, potentially committing fraud. The next day, Rodriguez held a disastrous press conference in which she admitted her campaign only had a little more than $200,000 in its coffers, and she really struggled to answer basic questions about how such mismanagement or outright criminal activity could have gone undetected for nearly 7 months. Now, 2 days after that, her campaign filed another finance report showing it only had $35,000 in cash on hand. Hours later, they amended their filing, showing that no, she actually had $640,000. But then about an hour or so after that, had to file a second amendment, sheepishly admitting that no, actually the initial $35,000 figure was correct. This was such an embarrassment that Rodriguez dropped out of the race the following day. Democratic Party had to scramble to replace her. The utter ineptitude that Rodriguez displayed played right into the socialists' hands. It demonstrated the so-called corporate Dems were completely unable to win elections, and Hong looked even stronger than them by comparison. And it was this point that the fix was well and truly in, and it became impossible to ignore because it was so blatant. Rather than coalesce around one of the other candidates who were still in the race, Barnes, Joel Brennan, Kelda Roys, the Democratic Party effectively bribed Crowley to get back in the race with the promise of an Evers endorsement, tons of labor union money, and the united support of the entire party apparatus. He was back in the next day, with the Evers endorsement, with tons of labor union money, and with the united support of a party that had rejected him since the very moment he first entered the primary. Now, though, he was the best possible candidate Democrats could run. He was the only one with executive experience, the only one with a chance of defeating Tom Tiffany. But there was still the problem of Mandela Barnes. He refused to step aside for Crowley. So Democrats deployed their secret weapon, the dossier they compiled when he first entered the race. They held it until the exact moment they needed to destroy his political career and handed it to a friendly reporter in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel in Molly Beck. Barnes was sufficiently frightened about what that dossier might contain and dutifully dropped out of the race that morning. But in a final middle finger to him from a party and media machine that seems to genuinely despise him, Beck published the story anyway later that day. Now, Royce and Brennan were still in the race, of course, but the Democratic Party had what it wanted. Every serious challenger to Crowley and Hong were out, and he had at least a slim chance of beating her. Now, in the final 2 weeks of the campaign, Crowley and the Democrats were gifted with Hong's truly baffling decision to give a pair of utterly incoherent, disastrous interviews with Fox News and CNN to explain her past positions on everything from defunding the police to abolishing Thanksgiving to her own son making her slightly uncomfortable because of his mixed race background, making her in proximity to whiteness when she's around him. Now, her inability to effectively lie about those positions and whether she still supports them, not the positions themselves, since most Democrats largely agree with them, that revealed Hong to be an unhinged buffoon who is making Wisconsin's Democratic Party a national laughingstock. So Evers spent the week at the state fair and every other public appearance that he made, leading the equally buffoonish but decidedly not unhinged David Crowley around, and answered with a blunt probably not when he was asked whether Hong could actually defeat Tiffany in November. Still, Democrat voters turned out in droves for Hong. And not just in the socialist hotbeds of Madison and Milwaukee, all across the state. Dems turned out for her in big numbers. Fortunately for the party, however, the fix was in. It worked. And Crowley kept pace with her throughout election night until the entire race came down to the final absentee votes in, where else? The city of Milwaukee. In typical Milwaukee fashion, however, those votes would not be reported until every other county in the state had fully reported their totals. First, Milwaukee's numbers would be delayed until 10:30 p.m., then 11, then absolutely, positively, they would be reported by 11:30. Only when the time came to finally enter the votes, City of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County election officials announced that due to human error, the vote totals were not actually downloaded on 5 of the 9 memory sticks that contained the 28,000 or so absentee votes that the city had yet to report. Somehow, an election worker had downloaded the vote audit on those sticks and not the actual vote total. While the entire nation watched this hastily called press conference at the Milwaukee County Courthouse, those 28,000 votes were still sitting back at central count with only a small number of election workers there to keep an eye on them. Rather amazingly, Milwaukee Congressman Gwen Moore gave a speech at Crowley's victory party, indicating that approximately 10,000 of those 28,000 votes had come in within the last couple of days and would likely catapult Crowley to victory. They did. When Milwaukee's absentee votes were finally reported after 1 a.m. Wednesday morning, it was obvious that Hong had no path to victory, and she conceded the race at about 3. To be clear, there's no evidence that those votes were altered or tampered with in any way, but the long delay, which just happened to end after reporting issues in Fond du Lac and Greene counties were cleared up and those totals went in, will do nothing to assuage socialist suspicions that the nomination was stolen from them. Milwaukee has a long history of late-night vote dumps and mysterious delays in reporting votes until every other county is finished reporting, and Republicans have long suspected, but have never been able to definitively prove, malfeasance. The reality is this. In this election, nothing was rigged on election night. It was rigged for nearly a full year before any votes were cast. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin used blackmail, bribery, and every other trick it could muster to ensure that Barnes and Hong never actually had a chance at winning the party's primary nomination. Their plan worked, but hardly flawlessly. Crowley's the nominee, sure, but the party's fix was obvious to everyone paying attention, including the socialists who were denied their biggest electoral prize yet by the corporate Dems they despise. Are they going to take that lying down? Are they going to roll over and abandon their principles to line up behind Crowley and his capitalist backers, especially after Hong was so obviously conspired against? They may. And they may present a united front to win a general election, but in the long run, this is yet more reason for the socialist movement to continue to work against the Democratic Party and ultimately to take it over. That way, at least, they'll be the ones rigging primaries for a change. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Much more on the Democratic primary, how we got here, where we're going, and what's next in the general election.
I'm Total Health's Jay Johnson, the Falls and New Berlin. Feel like you can't lose the weight making you feel lethargic, slow, tired, and old? Hospitalized Medicine's motivated by profit solution is drugs. Everyone, including prescribers, know have very dangerous, life-altering side effects. After 34 years practicing natural medicine, Total Health can tell you it isn't your willpower. It's fat loss resistance, often slowly built up over decades, and you can overcome it naturally. Total Health's Rapid Reset will reset your body's access to fat. Years of stress, yo-yo dieting, surgery, even menopause inflame the hypothalamus and pituitary, your body's master hormone regulators. Rather than burning stored fat, your body utilizes essential reserves. Total Health's Rapid Reset, a science-based protocol, reduces hypothalamic inflammation, rebalances insulin and leptin, restoring your body's natural system of storing energy for future use, then actually burning fat for energy. A 20-pound reduction in trapped fat in the first month is a common result. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution. TotalHealthInc.com.
Restoring your home or business to its natural beauty is our only business. We are Wisconsin's most trusted carpet cleaner for over 75 years.
Edelman Carpet Furniture and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
Mental health care is a journey, and no one should have to navigate it alone. At Sagent Behavioral Health, we're here for every twist and turn to support your path towards growth. Formerly Nystrom and Associates, Sagent offers trusted therapy, psychiatry, and other mental health services for children, adolescents, and adults in the Milwaukee area. With in-person and telehealth options, our support moves with you wherever life leads. Sagent Behavioral Health. New name, same care. Learn more at sagentbh.com.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code Beck at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code Beck. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan, for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
It's important to understand exactly how the Democratic Party of Wisconsin rigged its primary against not just Francesca Hong, but also Mandela Barnes, and rigged it in favor of, I don't know, Sarah Rodriguez, David Crowley, anyone with a pulse who could actually string 2 words together and didn't believe that we should abolish Thanksgiving. This is what they do. This is what they did, ironically enough, for Mandela Barnes in 2022 when he was the anointed candidate to take on Ron Johnson in the United States Senate election. There were 3 other candidates who were running against him. One of them is the current Secretary of State, Sarah Godlewski. The other, Alex Lasry, billionaire Nepo baby's son, or rather he was the Nepo baby. His dad, Mark Lasry, used to own part of the Milwaukee Bucks. And then Tom Nelson, the Outagamie County executive. They were all in the primary, and in-person early voting had actually started when, in the course of 2 days, all of them just mysteriously dropped out and endorsed Mandela Barnes. Mandela Barnes, he's the candidate. He's the candidate. Could there have been some surprise? Could Lasry or Godlewski have actually won that primary nomination? We'll never know because they dropped out. Now, lest you think, Dan, they did this of their own volition. Sarah Godlewski was the state treasurer at the time. She gave up that race to run for the Senate. In the fall election, Secretary of State Doug LaFollette, Democrat, won his 578th consecutive term. Seriously, that man was in that office forever. He wins re-election and immediately after he's sworn in, retires. Tony Evers just sort of names Sarah Godlewski Secretary of State. 4 years later, Sarah Godlewski announces that she wants to run for lieutenant governor. And even though every Democrat in the world, it seemed, tried to run for governor, no other Democrat ran for lieutenant governor. Why was that? Joel Brennan or Kelda Roys would have made a very, very good lieutenant governor candidate. Why didn't they run for that position? Because very clearly, Godlewski was told the primary is clear for you. Nobody else is going to be allowed to run. She was bribed to get out of the race. Democrats did the exact same thing in 2026. Now, how is that going to play with an opponent, not the Republicans, but the socialists who hate them, the corporate Dems, the party's establishment, almost as much as they hate the supposedly fascist Republicans and Tom Tiffany and Donald Trump? Their aim is not to make nice with the Democrats who currently run the party. It's to take the party over. Now there is concrete evidence that a socialist was denied a nomination because of a nearly year-long effort by the party to rig the primary against not one socialist in Francesca Hong, but another in Mandela Barnes, who has been associated with the DSA for a long time. He was about as far left as it got until Hong came around, and while Barnes was simply coasting by on name recognition, outflanked him to the left and got all of that far left socialist base. Is it any wonder then that Democrats immediately embarked on this unity brunch and unity tour today? It was specifically about pacifying the socialists they know are furious right now about this outright fix. Crowley, in his acceptance speech this morning, made a point very early on to thank the other candidates, especially Francesca Hong.
Today is also a time to recognize everyone who participated in this primary. Democracy is stronger when people step forward to serve their families, their communities, and engage in spirited debate about how best to do that. To Kelda and Joe and every candidate who shared their vision for Wisconsin, thank you. They challenged all of us to think bigger about what our state can become. And I especially want to thank Representative Francesca Hong. Her campaign reminded people across Wisconsin that there are no long shots when it comes to believing in a better future and fighting to expand opportunities to every family. That kind of passion, it strengthens our democracy. And I look forward to earning their support and everyone who participated in this campaign as we move forward together.
So rich that he's talking about strengthening democracy when the Democratic Party doesn't particularly care for the concept when they're the ones running elections, as in this primary. How exactly did that open and fair but very quick primary go when it came time to replacing Joe Biden? in August of 2024. Oh, yeah, that's right. There wasn't actually a primary. They just sort of anointed Kamala Harris. Democratic Party of Wisconsin, the last two statewide open primaries that they have run, they have rigged. And now I think they know, getting a candidate who dropped out to get back in, releasing an Oppo research dossier on another candidate, your own candidate, right before the election to try to blackmail him out of the race. And make no mistake, this was absolutely blackmail against Mandela Barnes, because they were threatening him with the release of something that was far more damaging than just him being 31 years old and having a relationship with a 21-year-old woman 8 years ago. They were clearly telling him, Mandela, we will ruin your life if you don't get out of this race. He gets out of the race. And then, as only the vindictive Democrat establishment and their media lackeys like Molly Beck at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel can, they released the story anyway, although I am convinced just the least salacious parts of it, just in case Mandela decides to open his mouth about what it was the Democrats were doing to him or threatened him with. I believe that there is more to that story, quite frankly. But today, it's all about unity, you see. Sarah Godlewski, the beneficiary of a bribe in 2022, now so proud to be the lieutenant governor nominee. So we are united. We all just had brunch. There were pictures of pretty much every Democrat figure in the state, from Franny Hong to Mark Pocan to Senator Tammy Baldwin to David Crowley and Tony Evers, who presumably have stopped holding hands for the first time in 2 weeks. Really, it was starting to get weird that Tony Evers was kind of leading David around to every campaign event. But Godlewski said today, after the big unity brunch, that we are united and we are ready for November.
I know how difficult it is to put your name on the ballot, and our gubernatorial nominees ran incredible campaigns. You know, we saw how Francesca Hung created a coalition of 7,000 people. That's incredible. And she was here today talking about how she is committed with us to defeat Tom Tiffany.
I think she had more than 7,000 people who voted for her, Sarah. But why did Godlewski and why did Crowley make such a big point to elevate Hong above all the other candidates and say, you are the leader of a movement? Because they all know how dangerous that movement is to them and all of us, and how much that movement could actually hurt the Democrats this fall if it doesn't get fully on board with the idea that they all really do need to be unified to stop Tom Tiffany. The socialists are far from done. They're pacified now, but they will be back and keep coming back, because this is where the Democrat Party's voter base is. We'll get into that when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
My radio show was very popular, but the Jay Weber podcast is turning out to be some of my best and most insightful work. This is really good stuff. Twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. Find it on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Jay Weber podcast is presented by Creative Planning, a comprehensive wealth management approach for all elements of your financial life. Your team awaits. Find the Jay Weber podcast every Tuesday and Friday on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires. It's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
Thinking about selling your home? Hi, this is Paul Levy with Lake Country Flat Fee. For 24 years, we've helped Southeast Wisconsin sellers get full service real estate without paying a full 6% commission. You get expert guidance, MLS exposure, professional support, everything you need to sell successfully, and keep more of the equity after your sale. Our sellers save about 50% versus a traditional 6% broker. To learn more or to schedule a free market analysis, visit our website at lakecountryflatfee.com.
Do you suffer from moderate to severe slumpiness?
Slumpiness?
I've never heard that expression.
I know. I made it up.
What does that mean?
You know, when someone's hungry and angry?
Yeah, we say they're hangry.
Well, I've coined the term slumpy for someone who's grumpy from a bad night of sleep.
Clever.
But Penny Mustard has discovered the cure for severe slumpiness.
Let me guess. A nightly dose of a double-sided hybrid mattress.
It's just what the doctor ordered.
Penny Mustard's exclusive line of hybrid mattresses is made in Wisconsin and combines a steel coil spring center and specialty foam.
Our mattresses have been proven to last 45% longer than the average unflippable model.
Ask your doctor about Penny Mustard. They probably bought their mattress here too. Or at least I hope they did, because who wants a slumpy doctor?
Come see our selection of sophisticrafted, double-sided hybrid mattresses at Penny Mustard.
Find a showroom near you at pennymustard.com.
Flippable versions of what slumpy people want.
I'm Eric Krolowitz from Good Health Saunas. Check out Good Health Saunas' massive display at the Wisconsin State Fair Park, August 6th through August 16th. See every model, be set up, feel them, touch them, try them out, and compare to find the ideal sauna for you and the entire family. Attendees will receive huge discounts on our show display floor models. Come early, they always sell out. GoodHealthSaunas.com or 365 days a year at 2242 West Blue Mound Road in Waukesha next to Home Depot.
We're the Libby family
at Do-It-Yourself Bathroom Center near State Fair on 62nd and Greenfield.
We're not a home center.
Everyone here is an expert who really knows their stuff.
Plus, nobody beats our prices. Remember our slogan,
I did it myself, but do it yourself.
From large manufacturer to local pizza shop and every business in between, Summit Credit Union helps your vision take shape with loan programs, great rates, and strategic solutions. Whatever you're building, you've got this. And Summit Credit Union's got you.
We use powerful truck-mounted carpet cleaning units designed to remove even the toughest dirt, and certified cleaning technicians who understand the definition of clean.
Edelman Carpet, Furniture, and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
Here's why. I'm attorney Werner Adam Rice of Warshevsky Law and licensed medical doctor Werner Adam Rice of Warshevsky Law. Being an MD and an attorney has allowed me to contribute powerful preparation for trial from day one in countless cases. I review medical evidence as it is discovered in the cases Warshevsky represents. Knowing the law and medicine allows me to see things an attorney might miss or that a doctor doesn't realize matter. For Warshevsky and our clients, my expertise has allowed us to see and prosecute forged and altered documents by doctors. I prepare medical expert witnesses in a way few attorneys can, and I'm a scientist. In one case, I proved negligence working with a medical examiner, creating an anatomic clay model of a deceased client. I've contributed to the Warshevsky firm winning many multi-million-dollar lawsuits, including the largest settlement ever awarded in Milwaukee County. Injured? It is about the money. Warshevsky.com, 414-276-4970.
Pulpit Share to At the Table, the Food Allergy Podcast. Each episode, we'll explore how food allergies shape the way we travel, date, celebrate, and connect. Because living with food allergies isn't just about what you can't eat. It's about still having your seat at the table. Brought to you by Genentech and Novartis. Listen to At the Table, the Food Allergy Podcast on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Follow At the Table and start listening on the free iHeart Radio app today.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Milwaukee's Late Show strikes again. This time, Democrats are the victims. Again, I am not alleging that the city of Milwaukee did anything wrong, but it is weird that there are always issues with the reporting of votes. It always happens late at night, and it is only in one city. We will dive into that, the Democratic establishment striking back and ensuring that its candidate is the nominee. How did the polls get so messed up? How were they so wrong? We'll dive into that and also go down ballot a little. Is the Republican Party of Wisconsin endorsement now effectively worthless? Both endorsed candidates for Secretary of State and Lieutenant Governor both lost and lost big time. First, though, Tom Tiffany on the Charlie Kirk show today, saying that Democrats absolutely did put their thumb on the scale for David Crowley.
The Democrat establishment, they put their thumb on the scale in this election. They did not want Francesca Hong, who was telling the truth about their policies. And in fact, the man that won, David Crowley, he said 2 weeks ago that he's basically in alignment with all of her policies.
That's right. In the 5 o'clock hour, we will get into that and why David Crowley is not nearly the unstoppable juggernaut that you think he is. In fact, a poll out today. Yes, I know the polls were just colossally wrong. Poll out today shows him up only 3 over Tom Tiffany, 47-44, well within the margin of error. And this is likely going to continue. It's just going to be about people getting out and voting for the far better candidate. But lest you think that the socialists are done, that socialism was stopped in Wisconsin last night, that's far from the case. Francesca Hong said something in her, not a concession speech, but absolutely a concession speech, when she knew the late night vote dump in Milwaukee was about to do her in. She came out and spoke before the votes were entered in Milwaukee. She knew, city of Milwaukee is still outstanding. I have no chance of winning. After she was done speaking, it was clear her supporters were all sent home for the night, and she actually got choked up at one point during her speech. It was very obviously a concession speech. She just didn't want to call it a concession speech, holding out the naive hope that somehow she would pull through. But she said one thing that really gave me pause.
We have built something that will change politics forever. The work we have done will be remembered forever.
We have built something that will change politics forever. It's not just her campaign. It's that socialist movement. Ben Shapiro, the conservative commentator on X, fantastic take on all of this. We're watching an enormous misread of the results from Wisconsin. The dumb take is that the DSA has reached its ceiling and the establishment is fighting back. That's totally wrong. The normie Dems are simply negotiating the terms of their surrender. Those terms are obvious. The Democratic Party will ingest and mirror the key precepts of the DSA, and they won't go whole hog against DSA candidates who don't totally say the quiet part out loud. This is why Slotkin didn't endorse Stevens against El Sayed in Michigan. It's why Schumer and Jeffries didn't endorse Cuomo against Mamdani in NYC. In return, the DSA's most important figures will refrain from endorsing the very worst candidates. This is why Bernie and AOC didn't endorse Hong. If they had, she would have won. The goal of the pact is obvious. Candidates who are DSA in all but name, who receive unified Democratic support after the primaries, and who still have a shot at winning a general election. So don't be fooled. The DSA is driving the car, choosing the direction. The normie Dems are just negotiating over the speed. In large measure, that's correct. But let's not forget, this fragile truce is not going to last. And I think what happened in Wisconsin, because I'll forgive Ben for not knowing the full story and the full extent to which the Democratic Party of Wisconsin spent nearly a full year ensuring that Mandela Barnes, they thought the big socialist threat was going to be Mandela Barnes, who had already managed to screw up an election in 2022. You don't compile a dossier on him and hold it for nearly a calendar year, deploying it only when you desperately need him to drop out of the race, unless you know this primary is going to be rigged. It didn't matter who the candidate was. They just knew who the candidate was not going to be. It was not going to be one of the socialists. It was not going to be Barnes. It was not going to be Hong. Whoever it was, didn't matter. They pulled a guy who literally dropped out of the race several weeks ago because he was only polling at 5%, because he wasn't raising money, because he wasn't getting endorsements, because he wasn't inspiring anybody, because he was a bad candidate with a bad record, doing a bad job running Milwaukee County. Every Democrat knew it until the exact moment that they decided that he was the only one who could possibly stop the spread of socialism. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin is desperately trying to stop a hostile takeover. And I wonder if what happened to Francesca, and don't get me wrong, you're not going to have socialists in Madison sit out this race. They will convince those crazies that Tom Tiffany will personally kidnap women using the ICE Gestapo to stop them from having abortions by the time November rolls around. They're clearly going to vote in this election. But when it comes down to challenging other Democrats in 2028, that's certainly going to happen. We'll discuss this in greater depth, get back into the primary analysis, and look ahead to the general election when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Ongoing pavement repair block in two right lanes, slowing you on 894 northbound from the Hale interchange to Beloit. 94 westbound is slammed from the zoo over to Sunny Slope, where you got a crash that's blocking the left lane. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Our American Stories podcast.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll share the story of the eccentric inventor who changed how Americans ate, Clarence Birdseye. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
Dan Voss at Cut and Go. We're celebrating America's 250th birthday with History Trees. In World War I, artists drew, measured, then created exact replicas of severely damaged trees on active battlefields, then recreated them out of iron. Under cover of total darkness, Americans cut the original tree down and installed the replica with no one the wiser. The iron camouflage trees hid American patriots in plain sight.
Sonny Voss here. That's the American Ingenuity my dad imported, inventing the remote control, truck-mounted, articulated grapple saw, cut and goes, operators use to safely put your dead trees on the ground or remove branches that grew over something important.
Cut and Go will trim large branches or remove your dead trees. Grind and Go removes eyesore, trip hazard stumps. And Plant and Go implements maximum beauty and benefit new, potentially historic tree planting plans.
Happy 250th anniversary with Tons of Trees movement. CUTNGOtrees.com.
I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I can get you a true 50% off the installation of your new Comer & Cross garage floor. Hey, it's Ben, and during Comer & Cross's end of summer garage sale, if you mention my name, Benjamin Yount, they'll give you a true 50% off your installation, and they'll guarantee your installation date. A true 50% off of installation can save you a ton of money. And when you add that to the 10% a new Comer & Cross garage floor can add to the value of your home, you're talking about a huge win. Now, you already know that Comer & Cross is the gold standard for garage floors. No more cracks, no pits, no chips, no stains, and you'll never see that old epoxy job again. Professional trained crews get the work done in one day. See why I love my Comer & Cross floor. Plus, get a true 50% off installation and a guaranteed installation date. Call them right now. 262-788-6430 or always online at comercross.com.
All I'm doing is driving to have a meeting with my mom and dad. That's all.
About our finances?
Look, I'm already very late.
Jerry, remember a ceremony a year ago? I dressed in white and you in black?
I know you're my wife, but my mom said to me, you and what's her name?
She doesn't even remember my name.
Should bank at the bank next to my apartment, she said.
These days, the bank for us is First American.
Gotta go or mom's going to worry.
First American has products that make us smart savers and smart borrowers.
See, mom made tapioca pudding for me.
First American CDs offer some of the highest rates.
But my mom says...
Your wife says we may even need a loan soon. And First American's fixed rate home equity loan is a smart way to borrow.
Yeah, but mom says
we can get the money and...
Okay. Well, check out First American Bank. Now, who can that be? Mom.
When you didn't show up, I got worried. Here's your tapioca. Dad's parking the car. Who's this?
Mom, it's my wife, Carol.
Oh, yeah, we met you at the wedding. Hi, dear.
First American Bank, the bank that does more for your money. Visit us online at firstambank.com or call us at 262-577-2400. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I'm Dr. Jennifer Grieve. My experience in the ER led me to establish Reset Restore MD, or R&R MD Ketamine Therapy Center. Sadly, right now, depression, anxiety, addiction, chronic pain, and PTSD are too common. Relief for people depressed, anxious, battling addiction, or living their life in pain is critically important. Traditional treatments can create potentially dangerous side effects, even suicidal feelings. While mental health issues can widely be misunderstood, they are real. People with treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, addiction, PTSD, or pain often have deficient levels of feel-good chemicals, including serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, locking them in an endless cycle of sadness, pain, and anxiety. No matter what they do, symptoms remain. Ketamine helps retrain the brain out of this cycle, stimulating normal release of feel-good chemicals. A ketamine infusion takes about an hour at R&R MD. The reset or restore of feel-good chemicals can continue for weeks, months, even a lifetime. R&R for Relief, Reset Restore MD, rnrmd.com.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
The podcast world is filled with grifters who will say anything for clicks. I'm Mark Belling, and I will never say something I don't believe and can't back up. The Mark Belling Podcast is back on iHeart or wherever you get your podcasts.
Aspire to the perfect blend of information and enlightenment. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeart radio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon. I'm Bob Haig. President Donald Trump announcing in a social media post that White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt will leave at month's end to spend more time with her family. Since there's no Democrat running, Nick Ollinger will be Waukesha County's next sheriff after winning Tuesday's Republican primary. At the close on Wall Street, the Dow down just over 21.5 points. The S&P 500 up 20.25. The NASDAQ up 143. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard, Mike McCarthy's role as coach of his hometown Steelers starts tomorrow as they host the Packers in preseason action. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Bob Haig on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by WillysWorldCustoms.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Look to the northeast tonight for the Perseid meteor shower peaking after 11 p.m. Skies will clear out, but fog will develop once again. Temperatures dropping into the 60s. Midday showers on Thursday with a high of 76. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. GE was just named America's #1 most reliable appliance brand by J.D. Power. Shop GE at Grand Appliance and upgrade with fast delivery and professional installation. Shop in store or grandappliance.com. Grand Appliance, appliance experts since 1930.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve with Grieve Law. If you're charged with drunk driving, you're not just looking at a ticket. You're looking at a permanent mark on your record that can affect your career and your ability to rent a car or travel internationally, not to mention the classes you'll need to take or the ignition interlock device that you'll have to install. Your license will be revoked, and even with a work permit, you're one long meeting or traffic jam away from driving revoked and facing up to 1 year in jail. That's a lot more than just a ticket. And if you pay the ticket without a fight, you are agreeing to be on the hook for all of it. At Grieve Law, we believe one mistake shouldn't define your life. Our seasoned criminal defense attorneys focus on OWI cases with a track record of getting results. We examine your case, challenge field sobriety tests, scrutinize breathalyzer accuracy, and expose the weaknesses in the prosecution's case. If you have been arrested for an OWI, you're facing serious consequences. But with Grieve Law in your corner, you are far from facing them alone. Contact Grieve Law for your OWI defense. You are only guilty if you are convicted. GrieveLaw.com.
I'm not great with words after a fight, and I'm sorry, wasn't cutting it this time. So I used Smile Tunes to write a soulful ballad about how she's always right. By the second chorus, the silent treatment was officially over. Visit SmileTunes.com and get out of the doghouse today.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan, for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
Hi, it's Jay Weber. Let's talk about the roof on your home. A lot of you will need to replace your roof this summer, but be forewarned, there are roofing companies out there that skip over the most important part of the process, the attic ventilation. You see, if your attic doesn't have proper air circulation, it can cause problems such as mold and wood rot, leaks in the winter, not to mention higher AC bills in the summer. This is one of the reasons I recommend Semperfi Roofing to my listeners. Their process begins with a free 21-point roof inspection that includes a thorough inspection of your attic. They know that if the ventilation isn't right, the roof will be built on a shaky foundation. Every Semperfi roof comes with a well-thought-out attic ventilation plan, and that's why they can offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. And right now, money-saving discounts and financing incentives are available. Call for your free 21-point roof inspection and estimate today, 262-600-2910, or book an appointment at SemperfiRoofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
A flexible, customer-centric home builder.
Downham Homes. 40 years ago, being informed was about reading the newspaper and watching the nightly news. Now, with information coming at you at the speed of light, being truly informed is a complex proposition, a more comprehensive process. At WISN, our show hosts frame stories, issues, and topics with both facts and unique analysis, and that leaves you with a richer understanding of the world around you. It's the perfect blend of information and insight. Stay informed all day, every day on WISN.
WISN.
Big taxers, big spenders, political cronies, global warming alarmists, charlatans, liars, scam artists, and feeders at the public trough. The threats to your happiness are many, but that's where we can help. News Talk 1130 WISN. Our truth shall keep you free.
David Crowley is the Democratic nominee. What comes next? we will discuss throughout the hour, throughout the rest of the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. Coming up an hour from now, your next chance to win $1,000 plus a trip for two to sunny Las Vegas for our iHeartRadio Music Festival, the Flyaway Contest Word of the Hour, coming up right after the 5 o'clock news. If you would like to join the Dan O'Donnell Show, I am going to try to get some phone call responses here. We've got a lot of texts coming in. I'll try to read some of your responses throughout the next couple of hours. Obviously, we spent much of the 3 o'clock hour talking about this. Is very important, folks, that you understand, that the entire country understands that this wasn't an upset per se, that David Crowley just defied all the odds and won over Francesca Hong because of, well, her bad Thanksgiving tweet and her disastrous appearances on national news, or the fact that national conservative influencers just couldn't help themselves and put out pretty much all of the opposition research the Tiffany campaign had been saving for today once she was safely nominated. All of that did play a role. It did play a big role, but it was also essentially a rigged game that Hong was playing. She was not going to be the nominee. Mandela Barnes was not going to be the nominee, because it would have meant that not only would the Democratic Party have probably lost the general election, and that's what the worst part about this is. Everybody in the country over the past 2 weeks could see that Francesca Hong was quite possibly one of the worst candidates ever leading a major party's nomination primary, this side of Graham Plattner. She was like Graham Plattner with all these sexual assaults, violence, and weird Reddit posts. She was off-putting. She was weird. She was a socialist. And by the way, if I'm Mark Pocan, he shouldn't be gloating too much today, as I'm sure he is, because Francesca Hong would absolutely destroy him in a congressional primary if she were to run against him in 2028. And Fran, given my personal history with Congressman Pocan, I would actually do what I could possibly do to help in a primary against Mark Pocan. That is my solemn vow to you. The world needs more Fran. God knows I need more Fran in my life. I am hoping that she is not done as a figure in Wisconsin politics. Carpetland USA Flooring Center. We'll try to get to some of your phone calls. The Flooring Center toll-free talk and text line, 414-799-1130. Email DOD@iHeartMedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, pretty much everywhere. So, of course, I was up really late last night, really early this morning. I stayed up. I think I dozed off at about 1:45, woke up just in time for Franny Hong to concede. And then, all right, well, it's well and truly over. We had thought that it was going to be an early night because of a big polling miss, which wasn't actually all that big of a miss. And I will explain exactly what I mean. Everybody go, the polls are totally unreliable. Kind of. But what if I told you they got Fran Hong's vote total almost exactly right? The problem was, with so many other candidates in the race and so much upheaval, they didn't get anybody else right. I know. That doesn't make it an accurate poll. But what it does say is that there are a lot more votes that are up for grabs than people think. We'll get up to that. We'll get into that discussion coming up in about 20 minutes to a half hour here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. But at 10 o'clock, it was clear that there were a couple of votes outstanding. Dane County got all of its absentees in. There were some issues in Greene County and in Fond du Lac County, which were very late in reporting. I guess there was some sort of database issue in Fond du Lac, or a server issue or something like that. And of course, everybody in the state was waiting on the city of Milwaukee. Every single election, it seems, dating all the way back to 2018, the gubernatorial race, when the last-second vote dump late at night cost Governor Evers the election. Now, there's no indication that there was any vote fraud or stolen elections or anything, but it is weird that the same city, year after year after year after year, always seems to report its absentee ballots after every other county is totally in and totally reported. It is a weird coincidence. Now, it's the biggest county. It takes the longest to count all the votes. And before you say, well, Dan, then you should support a bipartisan law that would have absentee ballots counted the day before Election Day. I do support that law. I am a huge proponent of that law. I want every absentee ballot counted at central count if they've got to use that, which is still the most asinine thing that I've ever heard. Central count is the clerk's office. Why? Because the only place under state law that you are allowed to do absentee voting or mail-in ballots are allowed to be sent is the clerk's office. You don't need to take them to a separate spot in order to do vote counting, and then you take them to a different spot to do vote reporting, creating massive chain of custody legal issues. Have one spot. The votes are cast at City Hall or the clerk's office, wherever that is. It's almost always at City Hall. Absentee voting is done at the clerk's office. All absentee voting, all ballots are mailed to the clerk's office. Everything takes place at the clerk's office. You don't have multiple absentee voting sites. There is one. That's what state law says. For whatever reason, the Wisconsin Elections Commission, well, I know the reason, because it provides a massive advantage for Democrats in early voting. The Wisconsin Elections Commission and the Government Accountability Board before that have allowed all of these different polling locations to pop up only in Democrat cities. Isn't that weird that the only multiple in-person absentee voting sites are in Dem cities? You don't see Republican-controlled cities with like 5 different early voting sites and mail-in ballot drop boxes littered across town. You just don't see it. Weird how that works. So every other city, every other municipality, every other county has their votes reported by about 10 p.m. We hear, okay, by 10:30 p.m., there's roughly 28,000 absentee votes. Now, the lead for David Crowley was at this point about a consistent 3,000, 3,500. So it was going to be very, very difficult. Let's just be clear about this from the start. It was always going to be nearly impossible, not impossible, but nearly impossible for Fran Hong to make up the difference. Her underperformance in Madison killed her. It absolutely crushed her. The weird thing about Madison and Milwaukee's vote, you would think David Crowley would blow the doors off of Milwaukee County's vote and Fran Hong would blow the doors off of Dane County's vote. It was the exact opposite. Both won, sure, but by a far smaller margin in their respective home counties than you would think. It almost is like the voters who know Fran Hong and Dave Crowley the best don't particularly care for them. Weird how that works even amongst Democrats. So there was always going to be a very slim chance that Hong made up the difference because the vote was just not coming in for her. Crowley was the overwhelming favorite. It was not as though this late night ballot dump took David Crowley from way down to way up. But at 10:30, we're told, no, we need another half hour. We need to get the vote count downloaded from all of the tabulators onto 9 different memory sticks to transport to the county courthouse from central count. We were told, all right, the vote is going to be in at 11:30. They make a big deal They have news cameras following them. Paulina Gutierrez, the Milwaukee Elections Commission executive director, is making a big deal out of the big procession out of Central Count with those memory sticks to the county courthouse. They've got a microphone set up for the press conference that is to happen at 11:30. And 11:30 happens, and they say, yeah, on 5 of those 9 memory sticks, human error resulted in the votes not actually being downloaded. Here's Gutierrez.
What we uncovered was that 5 of the sticks had the audit log downloaded and not the results. It's a human error. These things can happen. So basically what we need to do is go back to the operations center, and we're going to download out of those 5 machines the results and make sure that it's not the audit log.
Yeah. Steve Kornacki, who is the data guy for MS Now, formerly MSNBC, I find him to be very good. He is just a pure numbers guy. He's the guy that you have at the decision desk. He's the one crunching all of the vote totals. He was anchoring the coverage late into the night. His reaction to this was hysterical. Remember, this is MS Now. He could not believe that this staggering incompetence was going to mean Milwaukee probably wouldn't report its votes for another 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. I here's the thing. Yeah. Here's let's look at it this way. We're kind of indefinitely waiting for them to get their act together here and get the sticks and bring them back and go on.
Steve, I got some bad news for you. I've been waiting for them to get their act together since like 2016, and they haven't managed to do so. Kornacki went on for 3+ minutes, just thoroughly unable to process how people could be this incompetent. There was one job. So there is the vote total on the tabulator, and then there is an audit of that vote total to make sure it's correct. It's basically a redundancy. It's to make sure that the tabulation was done correctly. Both of those are on the tabulator. All you have to do is download vote total and not vote audit, and you're good to go. Really? Someone couldn't do that? Kornacki was exhausted, but absolutely gobsmacked.
It's been 4 hours since polls closed. It's been an unbelievably interesting and an intense night here, and it really is coming down to this one giant, update in Milwaukee. But man, we waited 90 minutes for them. They did this whole procession, and then they find out there's nothing on the sticks. And yeah, so it's just my way of saying, I'm just trying to say the audience here, so I'm not abruptly ending on them, just why we're doing this.
Steve, welcome to elections in Wisconsin. We've got a nice comfy chair for you. This is just how it happens. Go back to 2018. Scott Walker held a very slim lead after there was an issue with some of the vote totals in New Berlin in Waukesha County over now Governor Tony Evers. It looked as though once that issue was corrected and all of the state's votes were in, that Walker was going to win a third term. But wait. The city of Milwaukee announced that there were still thousands and thousands and thousands of mail-in ballots that had not been tabulated. When those votes were tabulated, Walker went from leading Tony Evers to trailing and losing by just outside of the 1% margin that would have allowed him to request a recount. There was, of course, never any evidence that there was malfeasance, but it was weird, right? That the second that New Berlin's issue was reconciled, all of Waukesha County's overwhelmingly Republican Walker votes were reported. Then the city of Milwaukee says, wait. We haven't put our absentee ballots in, and now we're going to do so. Then 2020 rolled around. The executive director of the Milwaukee Election Commission, Claire Woodall-Vogg, very late at night, left one of the flash drives containing absentee ballot results in a tabulator at Central Count after reporting. It eventually was retrieved with police escort. Now, there was no evidence of any alteration. There was no evidence of any malfeasance. But it was a little strange because shortly after all of the votes went in and President Trump went from winning Wisconsin to losing to eventual winner Joe Biden because of that late night vote dump, that Ryan Chu of the Elections Group, a consultant with the Center for Tech and Civic Life, hired with the so-called Zuckerbucks and brought in to essentially oversee elections in the 5 biggest Democrat cities in Wisconsin: Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha, Green Bay, and Madison. Hired with Mark Zuckerberg's fortune, Ryan Chu, the Elections Group, sent this email at 4:07 a.m., November 4th, 2020. Damn, Claire, to Claire Woodall-Vogg, head of the Milwaukee Elections Commission. Damn, Claire, you have a flair for drama, delivering just the margin needed at 3:00 a.m. I bet you had those votes counted at midnight and just wanted to keep the world waiting. Woodall-Vogg replied about 10 minutes later saying, LOL, I just wanted to say I had been awake for 24 hours. What was the margin needed? The margin needed to defeat Donald Trump. Now, this was, of course, played off as a joke. PolitiFact, it was that they were joking, or nobody ever, Ryan Chu never explained what margin was he talking about. You forgot the flash drive. The votes were reported late. Okay, sure. Ton of people were voting absentee in 2020. What was the margin needed? Were election workers trying to deliver a certain margin of victory for a candidate? That would be a problem. So too is the fact that Ryan Chu was involved at all. State and federal law are very clear. Private contractors do not come in to administer elections. 4 years later, in the 2024 presidential election, same Milwaukee Election Commission. This was actually discovered by the chairman of the Milwaukee County Republican Party. Staff members with the Election Commission didn't lock and seal the hatch covers covering USB ports, on-off switches, all of this on tabulators counting absentee ballots. Officials locked all of those once the chairman, Hilario De Leon, alerted them to this, and then zeroed out all of the machines and had to retabulate 31,000 ballots. Again, no evidence of tampering, no evidence of anything. Of course, Republican Party lawyers were all over this because it was the middle of the day. And this is why I want these absentee ballots counted in the middle of the day and not the dead of night. I want lawyers and every lawyer in the state to be watching every single ballot go in. In 2022, the deputy director of the Milwaukee Elections Commission, a woman named Kimberly Zapata, actually committed election fraud. Now, she requested 3 military absentee ballots under fake names, fake social security numbers, using the My Vote system. She used her access to a private database to do so, and actually had the ballots mailed to the home of former Republican State Rep Janelle Brandtjen, who was famous for her work on election integrity. Zapata said this was an effort to alert Brandtjen to how easy it was to just create fake military ballots. And this was exposing vulnerabilities in the system, but it was also election fraud. She went to a jury trial March of 2024. She was convicted. She was sentenced to a year of probation, $3,000 in fines, community service. She was, of course, fired from her job. And while it seemed like she was trying to do the right thing, this shouldn't happen with an election official. How exactly does this sort of thing keep happening? Oh, and by the way, in 2020, about 220 residents got absentee ballots for the wrong ward. That, of course, was just pure incompetence. But how is it that the city of Milwaukee, for almost a decade now, has had very similar issues getting its vote counted, getting its vote reported, and even issues with fraud involving one of its employees, however noble she might have thought the cause to be, involving those absentee ballots? This is a very serious problem. And the FBI was just investigating, or at least doing a preliminary look at the 2020 election. It does not appear that anything came of this, as those interviews that were conducted with election officials and former election officials were months ago, and there's been no real follow-up. Why was it that everyone in Milwaukee, everyone in the state in the Democratic Party freaked out? You would think that if there was anything, you don't want another undercover right-winger like Kimberly Zapata committing vote fraud to try to expose vulnerabilities, do you? You'd want the FBI looking into this. Again, there's no evidence of fraud. There's no evidence of wrongdoing. But it is weird how these same basic mistakes always seem to happen. And the elections, those mistakes end up going for the candidate that the city of Milwaukee wants to win, with, of course, the exception of 2024. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. When we come back, how exactly were the polls so wrong? Stay tuned.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford, Total Traffic Center.
Slowing in pockets southbound on 43 from Capitol down to the Marquette interchange. 94 westbound slam 27th over to Hawley. Still a bit slow as well from the Zoo to Sunny Slope from an earlier accident. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. GE was just named America's #1 most reliable appliance brand by J.D. Power. Shop GE at Grand Appliance and upgrade with fast delivery and professional installation. Shop in store or grandappliance.com. Grand Appliance, appliance experts since 1930.
Attention well pump owners. Do you have enough water pressure for your needs? Can you run 2 faucets at once without a problem? If you answered no to either of these questions, talk to an S&K Pump and Plumbing professional about a well pump checkout before you're left high and dry. They feature a full line of well pump equipment. Contact them at 262-784-HELP or SNKPump.com.
When it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK Pump and Plumbing.
Do you have a clear advertising message that assures your potential customers will choose your business over others when they need your goods or services? Will you have time to nurture it so it stays interesting? Can you buy media effectively and cheap enough so that your business stays top of mind? You're a business owner, and we understand how busy you are. And that's why we do these very things to help our clients gain market share and grow their business. Anderson-Smith.com. We help small budget advertisers get better results. Making a big advertising budget work? To us, that's easy. We feel that our ability to make small advertising budgets work in a big way truly demonstrates we really do know what we're doing. And that's why we should talk. We'll take your advertising budget, put it to work, and if history tells us anything, it will be the best investment in your business that you've ever made. Go to anderson-smith.com, email me, and I'll call you in short order. Because small or big budget, we help advertisers get better results.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
For superior carpet cleaning, hire a company with over 75 years of experience that will get the job done right the first time. Always clean, always on time. Edelman.
Edelman Carpet, Furniture, and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman. Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
The narrative today is that polling was just totally off in Wisconsin's Democratic primary. Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. What if that narrative wasn't totally accurate? All right, yes, the polls all suggested a blowout for Francesca Hong. But the polls pretty much all accurately got her support from Democrats, somewhere in the neighborhood of 38 to 40%. She ended up just shy of 40% of the vote. That's pretty accurate. They dramatically understated David Crowley's performance. In fact, even Crowley's own internal poll suggested that he was only at 22%, but there was a substantial amount of voters who were still undecided. And is it any real surprise that all of those late breakers, 18% of the 35 or so percent who were still undecided as of the time the latest polls were conducted, would gravitate towards Crowley and not Hong? Folks, the fix was in. Democrats knew who they were supposed to vote for if they had an inkling of it. Look, nobody was going to vote for Joel Brennan or Kelda Roys outside of the Brennan and Roys families. And even then, I'm willing to wager that a substantial number were actually Hong backers. It shouldn't therefore be too surprising that it was very, very difficult to poll an electorate that not only is on vacation in the summer, does not come back to college for another couple of weeks. And that is a huge, huge source of Democrat votes. And also, you had the topsiest, turviest, most riggedest primary possibly in the history of the Democratic Party. You had a candidate literally get out of the race and then a couple of days later get back in when the candidate he endorsed at the behest of the party's establishment, when she dropped out. And oh, by the way, David Crowley, in his acceptance speech today, said, no, this was not about a victory for the establishment.
This election is not about insiders versus outsiders. It's not about the establishment versus progressives. It's about building something bigger than any one campaign. It's about building a movement, y'all.
All right, y'all. The movement was actually Francesca Hong's. This was absolutely about the establishment versus the socialists. Notice he never once said DSA, Democratic Socialists, or socialist. If you'll notice, Democrats never, ever, ever say it. They will say the progressives. It's the socialists. They're all progressive. They're all liberal. Hell, they're all socialist. But these socialists, the ones who call themselves socialists, who are open about being socialists, they're the ones who are actively trying to take over the party. And by the way, of course, this election was not about being establishment, because if you call David Crowley establishment, why? That's just like calling him a racial slur. Here's David from last week.
I'm trying to figure out who the establishment is, right? I think that when we talk about the establishment, I don't know who that is. I'm a kid that grew up in 53206 zip code. My parents was drug addicts and suffered from mental health. I worked extremely hard to be where I am today. And so when people try to call me the establishment, I look at that as a slur, particularly as an African-American candidate. And so I have never ran for office to protect the establishment. I've always been here to protect the people. That's my foundation. That's what I'm going to continue to do as a county executive and what I'm going to do as the governor of Wisconsin.
So it's like a slur to call him the E word. I won't even say it, because you can apparently only say the word establishment if you're singing along to a rap song. Let's go to Tom in Milwaukee, listening to us, patiently waiting on the phone. You're on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, Tom?
Good afternoon. Tom Simon. I live in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And I have to say, I'm not real proud of Milwaukee. I've been here for 40 some years. And one of the things that, first of all, you got the crime that goes on. You got the pop that nobody uses. You got a lot of money that way. But I think what Tom Tiffany should be emphasizing is school choice. And it's very important. I mean, you got a lot of minority people that want their kids to be educated, and they're not being educated in Milwaukee. And so I think that's what he ought to be promoting.
That is actually also, one of the... go ahead. Yeah, please.
And of course, the teachers union would be against that, but guess what? What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, thank you so much for the call, Tom. Thank you so much for being so patient. That is actually a big plank of the Tom Tiffany campaign. Although in the Democratic primary debate, I believe the only candidate who said that she would end Wisconsin's school choice program was Francesca Hong. David Crowley is not a big supporter of it. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we are going to explain exactly how Crowley is far more tied to the socialists, the left flank of the party, and why he is not the strongest candidate that Democrats could have picked. Tom Tiffany absolutely should still be considered a favorite to win this race. No, I am not kidding, and I'll explain why. We'll get to more of your phone calls coming up next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center.
They got the ongoing damaged pavement repair northbound on 894 near Beloit. It's blocking the 2 right lanes. Now you got a crash in the southbound lanes there. It's blocking the left lane. Heavy delay starting back at Greenfield. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com or call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Green Bay Packers football on 95.7 Big FM.
Touchdown, Green Bay Packers!
Powered by Milwaukee Oral Surgery and Implants. Board certified specialists in dental implants, wisdom tooth removal, and corrective jaw surgery. Trusted by Wisconsin dentists for exceptional surgical care. Ask your dentist about Milwaukee Oral Surgery and Implants or call today.
Thursday night, the Packers kick off the preseason in Pittsburgh. Doug Russell's coverage starts at 2. Kickoff at 6 on 95.7 Big FM.
The only real estate agent I trust here in Milwaukee is Justin Hoffman with RE/MAX Lakeside. Hey, your friend Sean Hannity here. When you listen to my show, you know I'm very cautious about the stock market, and I prefer bricks and mortar. I prefer real estate. I have the inside track on what's happening in Washington. So what does that mean for you? I'm pretty confident the best days of our economy will be ahead of us, and the real estate market is going to get busier and busier. Now, no matter the reason that you need to make your move, you need talent, you need tools to get your home sold and get on to your next chapter. If you're trying to sell your home and have been trying for months and you're tired of looking at the same for sale sign in your front yard, now is the time to make a friend in real estate that can help turn your challenge into a solution. Now choose who I trust to create the most demand. Just go to wihomeeval.com. That's wihomeeval.com. Or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 700 five-star reviews, and then make your move today.
Ice Cube's Big 3 season is heating up, and it all comes down to this. The Big 3 playoffs are coming to Dallas, Texas. The 4 best teams in the Big 3 battle it out for a spot in the championship. The action starts with the legendary Big 3 Celebrity Game. 3 games of the most physical, competitive, and nonstop 3-on-3 action. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and catch replays Monday on BET. Oh, yay!
Notifications, texts, emails, information coming at you all day, every day. With so much noise, knowing what deserves your attention can feel overwhelming. So it's no surprise that many Americans feel less confident about their retirement finances and stressed about their investments. Turn down the noise, turn up the planning. Put Annex Wealth Management on your side for trusted investment and retirement guidance, including tax and estate planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve, here to tell you about Grieve Civil Law. Life is unpredictable, and the consequences of not planning for the future can be devastating. Have you ever thought about what would happen if you ended up in the hospital without the ability to make your own medical decisions? Or what will happen to your family if you die without a will? Without a power of attorney, your family could face agonizing decisions without knowing what you wanted. You could undergo medical interventions you don't want, or worse, lie in limbo while medical staff tries to determine who should have the final say in what happens to you. When you're gone, your loved ones could end up in probate with legal battles, high court costs and fees, and family disputes over your assets. In probate, everyone can see your assets, from the government to your nosy neighbors. Plan today so you can have peace of mind tomorrow. Don't leave your family in chaos and confusion. Contact Grieve Civil Law today, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Visit grievecivillaw.com.
Hi, it's Jay Weber. Let's talk about the roof on your home. A lot of you will need to replace your roof this summer, but be forewarned, there are roofing companies out there that skip over the most important part of the process, the attic ventilation. You see, if your attic doesn't have proper air circulation, it can cause problems such as mold and wood rot, leaks in the winter, not to mention higher AC bills in the summer. This is one of the reasons I recommend Semperfi Roofing to my listeners. Their process begins with a free 21-point roof inspection that includes a thorough inspection of your attic. They know that if the ventilation isn't right, the roof will be built on a shaky foundation. Every Semperfi roof comes with a well-thought-out attic ventilation plan, and that's why they can offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. And right now, money-saving discounts and financing incentives are available. Call for your free 21-point roof inspection and estimate today, 262-600-2910, or book an appointment at semperfiroofing.com.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semperfi.
Pulpit Chair to At the Table, the food allergy podcast. Each episode, we'll explore how food allergies shape the way we travel, date, celebrate, and connect. Because living with food allergies isn't just about what you can't eat. It's about still having your seat at the table. Brought to you by Genentech and Novartis. Listen to At the Table, the food allergy podcast, on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Follow At the Table and start listening on the free iHeart Radio app today.
Our favorite four-letter word. Free. Free. Download the free iHeart Radio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Why David Crowley is not all that impressive, a Democratic candidate. He did, after all, need to drop out of the race after polling consistently at about 5% and failing to capture the imagination of anyone in the Democratic primary. That's coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Right now, we go out to the phones and talk to, is it Zach in Cudahy up next? How you doing, Zach? Welcome to the program.
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for having me. I think my question is fairly general and relates exactly to what you're talking about here. Nobody expected David Crowley to win based on the polls, but you and I both thought the same. When it comes to Francesca Hong voters, everybody that was going to vote for Francesca Hong was already sold. Now, how in the general election do we come from defeating Francesca Hong in the Democratic primary and getting David Crowley elected? How do we separate Tiffany from the, oh, he is MAGA movement and successfully win the nomination this fall?
That is a whole lot in there. Excellent questions all, Zach. I really do appreciate it. Well, Tom Tiffany is already having to differentiate himself. Reporter for Channel 12, Catherine Merck, attempted to murk Tiffany with a gotcha, not really a gotcha question, but you knew this question was coming. She said, how do you plan to differentiate yourself from Donald Trump? It's a fair question, Catherine. It is a fair question. She posted this on X. I replied, Catherine, are you also going to be asking David Crowley how he plans to differentiate himself from Francesca Hong, since he actually said in an interview with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that he does not see a whole lot of difference between himself and Francesca Hong? Oh, yeah, they are going to try like heck to pretend that this interview never happened, although it most certainly did. Crowley said when asked if he would implement any of Hong's policies, Journal-Sentinel, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of policies we really differ from, meaning Hong. I think one of the problems I used to have in all these forums is that we're saying the exact same thing in different ways. The question isn't related to policy. The question should be who can get it done. That's the key, right? He's Francesca Hong on policy. He's just not stupid enough to say it out loud. That's why Democrats needed to throw Hong overboard. A, she is an actual card-carrying socialist and wanted to take over the party for the DSA. That's the big reason. The other reason, like with Mandela Barnes, he was too dumb to be able to distance himself from his past positions. He's not smooth enough to say, I'm not a... This is why they're all infatuated with Barack Obama. Now, his skin color, let's just be totally honest with ourselves, the first black president was the thing that really gave Democrat voters the thrill running up their leg, as Chris Matthews put it. But it was when they said he was so eloquent, it was because he was espousing the same far left ideology, just in a much more erudite way than your run-of-the-mill Bernie Sanders type left-winger. If you read Obama's books, he was a radical from the get-go. He had a third worldist mindset from his father. He wrote an entire book about it called Dreams from My Father. That was what he was all about. He was just very, very good at hiding it until he got elected. Now, as for how do you tie David Crowley to that, I don't think you're going to tie him to socialism per se. And Tiffany wanted to go on the attack with the brilliant line, this is going to come down to common sense versus crazy. I've actually got a much better line for him when it comes to dealing with David Crowley, because Crowley's not crazy, we think. I don't know, did he spend any time in a nut house? I doubt it. I mean, he does have an alter ego named Dirt McGurk, so maybe he's got like multiple personality disorder or something like that, but I would think it's not likely. Here's what Tiffany says. It is common sense versus incompetence. The knock on David Crowley is he sucks at his job. Milwaukee County is insanely poorly run. It's running massive deficits even after Crowley jacked up the sales tax by 80%. Its transit system can't get people from point A to point B because nobody pays their fares. Forget about paying their fair share. In Milwaukee, nobody pays their fare, period. And the transit system is on tilt. It's running a massive deficit. They are going to have to cut services dramatically. And oh, by the way, Crowley also very likely violated campaign finance law. Not the biggest deal, but it is something that has not really been reported. We will get into all of that coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Coming up next, we'll try to get to a couple more of your phone calls. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.
Down in Walworth County, the northbound Rock Freeway remains shut down Highway 50 to Highway 67 with an accident. Got a crash southbound on 894 down near Howard. It's blocking the left lane. Delays starting all the way up at the Zoo interchange. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
David Brownsdorf, president of Flawless Flooring, recommending iNet for web development and SEO.
That's all?
And graphic design, photography, and video.
That's more like it, Dave. Flawless installed luxury vinyl at 3 properties I own, including iNet. The 8 separate projects were easy, turned out beautiful, exceptional value, and are extremely durable.
But wait, there's more. iNet's creative genius branding and radio gives Flawless a unique identity, making us stand out. Hiring iNet is casting a net that pulls in customers your business wants and needs.
Clever, Dave. You just might have a future in radio ad writing.
My future is secure in flooring, partially because we cast our iNet 5 years ago.
Having Flawless replace pet stain and stink-saturated carpet is a smell and sight upgrade, making every day more beautiful and less gross. Flawless Flooring, LLC.com.
Having iNet replace underperforming web, radio, and e-marketing enhances business opportunity for profitable growth. iNet-web.com, creativegeniusmarketing.com.
So the Donahos invited us to dinner.
Hang on, honey. Hello?
Hi, this is Lori from First American Bank.
Whoa, honey, it's the bank. Listen to how real this AI voice sounds.
Hello?
Yes, hello. I'm calling about your First American Bank home equity line of credit application.
That is free.
Right? What do I press for? Representative.
Oh, you don't press anything. I'm a real person.
Now it's claiming to be a real person.
Wow.
Sir, along with First American Bank's best loan deals in town, we pride ourselves on providing impeccable personal service. That's why you get me, a real-life specialist, to help you every step of the way with your loan. Isn't that more useful than passing you off to an artificial intelligence chatbot?
What's 2 times 2?
4.
Who created the Dewey Decimal System?
Melville Dewey.
Limburger sandwich or cheese curds?
Oh, you're not dragging me into that one.
First American Bank, the bank that does more for your money. Visit firstambank.com or call us at 262-577-2400. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Meet Jim and Rita. We went on a motorcycle trip. But somewhere in Wyoming, Jim and Rita were in a serious accident. They blocked off the interstate and everything and took us to the hospital. Sometime later, Rita made a discovery. She had noticed that the bracelet was gone. And I asked the trooper, is there a chance we can go out there and see if it's still there? And amazingly, he found a couple of pieces.
It was only 2 tiny links of the bracelet.
Jim was determined to buy Rita another bracelet from Kessler's. And I had my checkbook in my hand. But when he arrived there, and I said, okay, how much? And she says, that's part of our warranty. Jim and Rita discovered the Kessler's miraculous no small print warranty. It's just amazing that you guys do this.
And it's true.
If you bought it at Kessler's, it's guaranteed. It's just that simple.
It surely is miraculous.
Read the Kessler's miraculous no small print warranty yourself at Kessler'sDiamonds.com.
The mechanics were top-notch, very accommodating, honest and true to their word. Excellent service. That's Wendy talking about her experience at Engine and Transmission Exchange, car repair shops that really are a step above the rest. Michael needed a whole new engine, and the news shocked him. But he says the fact that installing a new engine doesn't seem to faze them speaks to the talent they have in their shop and front office. Yep, the guys and gals at ETE have seen everything. Gene says, I love the taco truck parked right outside, too. Now, I think that does change, but the superior service you get at ETE doesn't. doesn't. You simply can't put a price tag on the sort of experience, honesty, and integrity you'll encounter at Engine and Transmission Exchange. All of the work is supervised by ASE certified technicians. They'll only do what needs to be done, and they'll do it right. With locations on South 27th Street in Milwaukee and on West Avenue in Waukesha, they have easy drop-off and pickup, and they'll work around your busy schedule. Check out EngineTrans.com. EngineTrans.com. It's Engine and Transmission Exchange.
Marketing a modern business means finding and serving your customers 24/7 wherever they are. WISN broadcasts are a powerful platform, but there's so much more. WISN's online digital tools are completely customizable, so you can reach your ideal customer through the iHeart app or by using software that actually finds your customers at a specific location or event. These tools are precise, efficient, measurable marketing weapons that you need to use. Combine the power and cloud of WISN's broadcast and digital platforms right now. Go to newstalk1130.com, keyword digital.
Welcome back. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Looking around the primary. Last night, it was not just the Democratic primary. There were contested primaries for both lieutenant governor for the Republicans, where surprisingly, David Varnum defeated the Republican Party endorsed Will Martin, and the Republican Party endorsed Secretary of State candidate David Varnum went down to defeat to Jay Schroeder, who had run for the office before. I think that's probably the reason that Schroeder was picked. Let's face it, folks, the Secretary of State, it's essentially a do-nothing job. There is very little to it. Schroeder ran before, and that's probably why he won. Varnum was running ads on this radio show. He was running ads on this radio station. He might have been running ads on other shows. I honestly don't know. Over the past couple of weeks, I really haven't been listening too much just because I've been very, very busy. I try not to listen to our other show. I don't want to be accused of, oh, well, you're just copying what Jason Gotch said. You're just copying what Ben said. No. So I don't listen to a whole lot. I don't listen to nearly as much talk radio as I used to. But I did notice that Varnum was on our station, which probably means he was also buying Madison, WIBA, which we also are carried on. And he was probably also buying talk radio in Green Bay. Regular Joe Joe Gigante has a show up there. There's also, I believe, another local conservative talk show up there. That, I think, was the difference. Honest to goodness, that in a race where a lot of people have no idea who these candidates are, you just get that name recognition. You heard it on the radio. Oh, he's the conservative. He was endorsed by Pro-Life Wisconsin, all the various other groups. Oh, good enough for me. I'm going to vote for him. I didn't mean to make this into an endorsement of buying radio ads, but if you're looking to get a conservative audience, clearly I think David Varnum's victory is probably proof that it works. Dan O'Donnell Show, coming right back in just a second.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN. Milwaukee, an iHeart radio station. Guaranteed human.
Good afternoon. I'm Bob Haig. The Trump administration announces that effective October 13th, it will end federal Medicaid and CHIP funding for certain gender-affirming treatments for minors, including surgery and hormone treatments. Patients already receiving hormone treatments will be phased out through April of next year. It's on to the November general election for Congressman Tom Tiffany and Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley in the race for Wisconsin governor. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports Scoreboard, Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers welcome their former team to Pittsburgh tomorrow night for preseason matchup against the Steelers. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Bob Haig on News Talk 1130 WISN.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by Wershevsky Law.
The quality of your attorney matters more than the facts in your case. Injured? It is about the money. Wershevsky Law.
Here's the latest forecast, powered by WillysWorldCustoms.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Look to the northeast tonight for the Perseid meteor shower peaking after 11 p.m. Skies will clear out, but fog will develop once again. Temperatures dropping into the 60s. Midday showers on Thursday with a high of 76. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
This report is sponsored by Grandview Homes. With weather always changing, flexibility matters. When you're ready to sell without added stress, Grandview Homes buys houses for cash on your schedule. No runaround, just a fair guaranteed offer for your house. Get your no obligation offer today at grandviewhomes.com.
Dan Voss from Cut and Go here. Spring of 1917, just 14 years after the Wright brothers' first flight, America, determined to darken the skies over Europe with 12,000 combat aircraft, set about crafting 100 million board feet of Pacific Northwest Sitka spruce lumber.
Sonny Voss here. The rest is history. American ingenuity, determination, and might rescued humanity from tyranny. Dad harnessed American ingenuity, developing the remote control, truck-mounted articulated grapple saw Cut and Go uses to safely dominate landscapes.
Grind and Go is committed to your property being eyesore and trip hazard free. Cut and Go will take down dead trees for you to parse into firewood or chip for you to spread, or we can take with us.
Plants and Go designs historic treescapes, delivers and plants in time for you to celebrate your freedom this year.
Happy 250th anniversary. A Tons of Trees movement. CutandGoTrees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com.
Ready to sell your house? This is Bob Tarantino from Redefined Realty and Auction. Here's what you need to know. 1, hiring an agent isn't about how big their brokerage is. It's not about how well you recognize their name. And it's certainly not about how many buyers they pretend to have. Every well-respected brokerage is going to market your home in MLS, and we all use the same MLS system. That's what MLS is all about. Marketing on a perfectly level playing field. Every buyer and every agent will know your home is for sale, no matter what agent you hire. So where are the differences? Why is Redefined Realty and Auction the right choice? It's because of the auction. Nobody does it like we do. The auction provides buyers with total price transparency. It provides buyers with the opportunity they crave, the opportunity to place a higher bid. Buyers will love that you gave them the opportunity to bid higher. They'll love that you didn't force them to guess at a price. The price in an auction is totally transparent. When all the buyers can see the prices, they bid more and they push the sales price up to the max. Sell with Redefined Realty and Auction and achieve the best price guaranteed. When buyers bid, sellers win. RedefinedRealty.com.
Identity theft can cost more than you think. Drained investment accounts, stolen tax returns, lost wages, expenses for lawyers. It's a lot. That's why LifeLock is backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, which covers up to $1 million for stolen funds, fees, and experts and lawyers, and out-of-pocket expenses. Don't face the burden of identity theft alone. Protect your future and finances with LifeLock. Join now. Save up to 30% off your first year with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. 1-800-LifeLock, promo code BECK. LifeLock.com. Terms to apply.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
Visit wihumane.org/summer match to have your donation tripled for pets in need.
Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good afternoon. I'm Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor Joe Still with your closing business report. Stocks edged higher today as investors assessed a tame inflation report. July's Consumer Price Index headline inflation rose 0.1% on the month and 3.4% annually, which is likely to keep Fed officials divided on whether to raise interest rates. And shares of Super Microcomputer jumped 19% after the company issued rosy guidance for the first quarter earnings at $1.01 to $1.10 per share, and revenue in the range of $14.5 billion to $15.5 billion, in addition to exceeding fourth quarter estimates. On the day, the Dow was down 21 to 53,770. The S&P 500 rose 20, and the Nasdaq was higher by 143 points. From Creative Planning, I'm Joe Still.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show as we are going through primary results from last night, trying to figure out what went wrong for Franny Hong, how exactly the Democratic Party of Wisconsin rigged its primary over the course of nearly a year. And by the way, my opening monologue from the 3 o'clock hour, I have adapted as a lengthy piece at the Heartland Post, heartlandpost.com. Fantastic analysis of the primary. We have got winners and losers as picked by our staff. Big winner, Dirt McGurk. That's right, the alter ego of David Crowley. He still hasn't explained exactly who else was running that Twitter account that was posting lewd stuff and sexually inappropriate remarks. He said it was 10 or 11 or 12 other dudes were running this account for him and or with him, and that it was used to promote clubs. There was never a tweet from that account that ever promoted any club. And all of the tweets were in the first person. One of the tweets from Dirt McGurk talked about his birthday, which happened to be David Crowley's. I mean, it was obviously him. Just County Executive Dirt. Dirt McCrowley, please. Dirt Dog. Take ownership. Just like you haven't for all of the failures of Milwaukee County. This is why Democrat nominee McGurk is not nearly the unbeatable monster that Republican doomers I had to watch have absolute mental breakdowns all night on social media. You all knew who you were and know who you are. It's over. We can't win, Dan. This is your fault. You were talking about Francesca Hong before the end of the primary. Yes, it was all my fault because it is well known that Democrat primary voters are always influenced heavily by conservative talk radio. The primary was very clearly fixed so that Francesca Hong, who very nearly won, this should be a huge warning sign to everybody across the country. In the ultimate swing state, in what's supposed to be one of the more moderate states, it's not a far left commie hellhole like California. It's Wisconsin. It's the land of cheese and beer and yeah, okay, we've elected like 3 socialist mayors in Milwaukee. It's the home of fighting Bob LaFollette progressivism, but outside of Madison and the bougie white liberal areas of Milwaukee, this is the thing that always blows my mind, that socialism is most attractive not to the working class, but to the bougie wine ant libs who drive Mercedes and live in like $700,000 homes. Just weirds me out. And of course, their pink-haired daughters who all have daddy issues. The one common denominator amongst all socialists, I am working on a psychological profile of the socialist. You have to have pink hair and you have to have issues with your father. I think the fatherhood crisis It's not just in the black community, that's well documented, but in the bougie white community. The consequence of not having a father in the home is not kids joining gangs. It is kids joining socialist cults. Every one of them, every one of these people hates their father. I don't know. I just, but every one of you doomers, every one of you is saying, oh, he can't win. Dan, you should have encouraged conservatives, your audience, to cross over and to vote for Francesca Hong. If I had done that, okay, let's think about this logically. A, she somehow manages to win the governorship. I'm responsible because she doesn't win the primary without my listeners' support, right? I mean, this is the logic that I can get my listeners, I can get all of you ditto heads to do exactly what I say. I can't even get you people to, I can't even get you to early vote in general elections. I wish you were all like hypnotized under my sway. Darn you and your free will, listeners. I kid, of course. Let's think about this logically, though. Let's say I have a highly publicized effort to get Francesca Hong elected because she would be by far the easier candidate for Tom Tiffany to beat. And I'm not disputing that she would have been. You know why? Because she is a terrible candidate. She is one of the worst candidates I have truly ever seen for statewide office. She is awful in every way. She doing this weird affect in which she's asked about, she wanted to abolish Thanksgiving. She said, do you still want to abolish Thanksgiving? That's all you need to say. No. And you know what? I think we can understand that a lot of Native people have very complicated or even hurt because of what Thanksgiving represents and colonization. But we also have to recognize that what Thanksgiving is really about. When Abraham Lincoln first declared a national day of Thanksgiving, it was about giving thanks to God for all of our blessings, even at a period of civil war. And I think that's a very powerful metaphor because even when we are at war with ourselves, even when things seem their worst, we can always give thanks for all we have as a nation. What I'm focused on is making us thankful to be Wisconsinites, making us proud to be Wisconsinites, and moving us forward in a great collectivist future. How can I do this so easily, but Franny Hong could? Here's what she does instead. She goes on the Politico podcast, and she's asked, you seem to hate Thanksgiving and Christmas and all these other holidays. What is your favorite holiday? This is a fair, accurate representation of Francesca Hong answering this question. My favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. Yep. Yeah. I'm not going to ban it. I love it. That's off-putting and weird. But now that Dirt McCrowley should I just call him Dirt McCrowley? Or when inevitably people forget about the Dirt McGurk scandal, people are going to call me racist because I'm calling David Dirk or Dirt or whatever it is. Dirt McCrowley. It's got a nice ring to it. No. The only thing that would be racist is if I were to call David Crowley establishment. Because as David himself said, if you call him establishment, that's sort of like calling him a racist slur. All right, time now to play the iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest. The word this hour. Text it to 200-200 and you win a fabulous trip to Las Vegas plus $1,000. Lucky, L-U-C-K-Y, lucky. You have got until 5:55 to text the word lucky to 200-200. If your text is picked at random, you are incredibly lucky because you win round trip airfare for 2 to Las Vegas, 2 nights hotel stay, ground transportation, 2 tickets to the iHeartRadio Music Festival, September 18th and the 19th, and $1,000 gift card. Good luck from all of us here at the Dan O'Donnell Show. If you would like to join the program, we'll try to get a couple of more phone calls. A lot of texts coming in. 414-799-1130 on our Carpetland USA Flooring Center talk and text line. DOD@iHeartMedia.com is the way to reach us via email. At Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And please do subscribe, like, follow, download, and listen to every day the Dan O'Donnell Show podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. Think that David Crowley didn't go nuts during the peak woke period of 2020. Think again. Here he is with the now retired Mike Goucher, who was interviewing him, I believe, for the Marquette University Law School, talking about defunding the police.
They think about taking all the money away. They don't think about how to continue these services. And that's what we have to think about. We still need to call somebody when things are happening. What does that look like when you think about defunding or divesting from the police department? That's a conversation that we're going to have together.
So who do you call when you defund the police? Ghostbusters? County Executive McGurk? He was saying the exact same stuff. No, he didn't call to abolish any major holidays. Dirt McGurk's Twitter account, which was, remember, run by 11 or 12 other dudes, did say he hated Christmas dinner because he could never find anything to eat. LOL. I could never find anything to eat. Remember, those 11 or 12 other dudes just rolling around with David Crowley, going to Christmas dinner with him. What kind of club were these guys all promoting? Exactly. 11 or 12 of them all sharing a Twitter account, huh? All going to Christmas dinner together, all celebrating David's birthday together. All 11 or 12 dudes, huh? David? Okay. If you say so, Dirt. So I said before the top of the hour that what I thought was one of the greatest lines in Wisconsin political history, that this election was going to come down to common sense versus crazy, that Tom Tiffany was framing this election as him, the common sense conservative from the Northwoods who wears Kohl's plaid shirts, the damn man, stopping the flood of socialism from washing over Wisconsin. Well, all that is washed away because the Democrats were able to rig their primary against the socialists. And by the way, please do share that Heartland Post article. It's up on my social media at Dan O'Donnell Show on X and Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. I want as many of the socialists to read this as possible. Yes, I am dead serious because this really is about them. This really is about the Democratic establishment literally doing what the Democratic establishment does. Corporate Dems being corporate Dems and denying the true heroes of the revolution, like Francesca Hong, their rightful place as a Democratic Party nominee. Now, the idea here that some of you spent all night last night and again today dooming about. I don't think I need to tell you what the kids mean when they say you're dooming, like doom scrolling. You're just on your phone. You're like you're depressed. You're sad. You can't get out of bed. You just scroll on your phone. Yeah, everybody does that. I like to say, my son and I, we call it, we don't doom scroll, we joy scroll. Because all we do is try to find memes and make each other laugh. My wife too, my younger son as well. We just got my daughter a phone. She's 12 years old. Armin, my producer, you got a daughter who is what, 2 years old? You get her a phone yet? By the time, one of the fake toys. By the time she is 12 years old, I guarantee everybody in her class will have had a phone for 5 years. My daughter was like the last person she knew to not have a phone at age 11. I held on for as long as I could. It becomes almost a necessary thing. The kids do so much socialization. I know. I hate myself. I promised myself I wouldn't be the parent who gets the kids phones. But alas, here we are. So, as we're joy scrolling, not doom scrolling, we are always looking for the funniest, the best political memes, like Dirk McGurk type stuff. And a lot of you are scrolling, you're doom scrolling, and you've convinced yourself that the primary is already over, that Tom Tiffany is already lost, that Derek Van Orden has already lost. Armin, could you pop up that Rebecca Cook soundbite? Give me that. You got Rebecca Cook. Just in case you think that people like Cook, the establishment corporate Dem, David McGurk Crowley, the moderate Obama-esque savior of Wisconsin, just in case you think that these people just aren't as nuts as Francesca Hong and Zoran Mamdani, the commie. Last summer, Cook was asked at a town hall, who would she vote for New York mayor?
If you lived in New York City right now, who would you be supporting for mayor?
Mamdani. Oh, really? You'd be supporting Mamdani. David Crowley. If he was asked last year, who do you think he would support? Now, David Crowley also raised his hand every single time the moderators asked during the Democratic primary debate about radical stuff like abolishing ICE, like any number of the things that Francesca Hong herself also supported. Not only that, County Executive Dirt McGurk has actually run Milwaukee County into the ground, dramatically increasing taxes, driving up the cost of living for everybody who lives in the county dramatically. The crime rate has gone up since he's been county executive. By the way, county employees, he talks about universal health care. We need health care for all. Well, for a month, his own employees, thanks to his incompetence, had health care for none. We will get into all of that when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns in just 3 minutes.
From the Lynch Chevrolet of Kenosha Total Traffic Center.
Southbound on 43, got a delay from Good Hope down to Bender. A little break before you're slowing again from Locust to the Marquette. On to 4394, your delay is continuing down to Oklahoma Avenue. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast.
Pump up the volume.
When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Notifications, texts, emails, information coming at you all day, every day. With so much noise, knowing what deserves your attention can feel overwhelming. So it's no surprise that many Americans feel less confident about their retirement finances and stressed about their investments. Turn down the noise, turn up the planning. Put Annex Wealth Management on your side for trusted investment and retirement guidance, including tax and estate planning. Visit AnnexWealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Welcome back to Ask Hasslis.
Are your employee-free Hasslis showrooms some kind of big viral prank?
We simply let you try our selection of Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more without commission-crazy salespeople breathing down your neck.
Sure you do.
And through Monday, get a free adjustable base with the purchase of a select Sealy Posturepedic or Beauty Rest mattress, plus free next-day delivery.
So shopping at Hasslis won't make me TikTok famous?
Absolutely not.
Darn.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasslis.com.
Whether it's a complete kitchen or bath remodeling or replacement fixtures, the experts at S&K Remodeling can help you. Their designers have their fingers on the pulse of your dreams. Stop by the S&K working showroom and let the remodeling team show you ideas from ordinary to extraordinary. Call 262-782-7185 or visit SNKRemodeling.com.
When it comes to remodeling, one call does it all. S&K Remodeling.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Flawless eliminates noticeable carpet stains and stink, while iNet branding web and radio get businesses noticed. CreativeGeniusMarketing.com.
Opposite and the same, beautiful carpet and luxury vinyl from Flawless get noticed. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
Make News Talk 1130 WISN your number one preset on our free iHeartRadio app. Powered by Gruber Law.
One call, that's all.
Injured?
Remember, one call, that's all.
From Wisconsin to the world and everywhere in between, the Mark Belling Podcast, My Take on Everything, Season 2 is underway. New episodes drop Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday on iHeart or wherever you get your podcasts.
A tour de force of truth. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. County Executive Dirt McGurk, I don't mean to be insulting. Democratic nominee Dirt McGurk today in his acceptance speech said, you know what, this campaign is about all of the things that Wisconsin should aspire to, all of the things that a Nazi fascist pedo protector, whatever other third grade insult these buffoons make towards Republicans, Tom Tiffany, that he cannot deliver. It is all about aspirational things that only the Dirt McGurk movement can deliver.
Wisconsin, we deserve better than politicians who divide us for their own political gain. We deserve leaders who wake up every single morning asking one simple question: how can I make life better for the people we serve? That's what this campaign has always been about.
Yeah.
It's about affordability, making it easier to buy a home.
Okay.
Lowering everyday costs, making childcare more affordable and available, growing an economy where hard work actually pays off.
Yeah.
It's about care.
Care.
Making healthcare more affordable and accessible.
Really? Your campaign is about making healthcare more accessible, you say? Because it wasn't accessible for your own employees for a full month. There was a significant scandal that dramatically harmed County Executive McGurk's early campaign for governor. The United Healthcare contract that the county had, it's one of the largest in the entire county. That I think it's valued at nearly $500 million, $500 million over the next 5 years. There are upwards of about 5,000 people who take part in the county's health care plan. Well, the plan expired at the end of 2025 without a new agreement in place. The county board, though, was never actually informed about this until nearly a month later, January 29th. Coverage apparently did continue under the old terms, and the county still made payments. But county attorneys said there was going to be a massive, catastrophic risk if a new contract wasn't very quickly approved, including the potential for United Healthcare to deny large claims. Now, I'm not sure if you folks remember this, but wasn't the denial of claims such an example of state-sponsored corporate violence by United Healthcare that it drove a maniac, a socialist named Luigi Mangione, to gun down the company's CEO in the streets of New York in December of 2024? So this is serious stuff if there was going to be the catastrophic risk of the denial of claims. Tony Mays, the Human Resources Benefits Director who oversaw the process, apparently was the scapegoat. He was fired. Crowley administration, February 2026. Well, it's an employee error. Now, Mays, I'm going to take a wild guess, tells a very different story about that. That, in fact, the county executive's office was the one that actually dropped the ball there. Not only that, let's talk about expanding opportunities and making life more affordable. We want to make everyday goods more affordable, right? That's what he said. It's all about affordability. Do you think increasing a tax by 80% on the people of Milwaukee County on all of the goods that they provide, the lion's share of the goods that they purchase, rather, 80%? That's the amount that County Executive Crowley increased the county sales tax by under the 2023 State Aid and Tax Package Act 12. Now, under County Executive Crowley and his predecessor's watch, of course, everybody knows about the Milwaukee County pension scandal that came to light in 2002, led to the rise of Scott Walker. By the 2020s, Crowley was warning of massive shortfalls because of the pension backdrop and because of all of the costs associated with personnel. Governor Evers signed Act 12 in 2023. It boosted state shared revenue to both the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Act 12 also allowed Milwaukee County to add a 0.4% sales tax on top of its existing 0.5% sales tax for a county rate of 0.9%, nearly a 1% sales tax. County board approved it. Increase took effect January 1st, 2024. The revenue boost was pretty substantial, $80 million. Actual collections grew significantly. The county sales tax was, in the next couple of years, upwards of $90 million. I mean, massive amounts of money were coming in. Not only that, more money was coming in from the state. You would have thought that a competent county executive, given all of this, given the fact that Crowley pushed for, his county board voted for, he approved, he ushered in brand new sales tax. Remember, making everything instantly 1% more unaffordable for everybody in Milwaukee County. Everybody had to pay nearly 1% more for pretty much everything that they bought in Milwaukee County at a time when County Executive McGurk is very concerned about how high prices have gotten. I don't know about you, but I don't recall Congressman Tom Tiffany ever voting for any tax increases, especially ones that are so regressive, meaning that they impact the poor, they impact the working class the most, because that's exactly what a sales tax is. A sales tax is easily the most regressive tax that we have. Somebody making $30,000 a year is less able to afford a $1 tax on a $10 purchase than somebody making $300,000 per year. It's basic economics. Nobody, of course, ever accused any Democrats of understanding basic economics, however. So you would think that with this influx of cash, with the massive tax increase, with the massive property tax increases that people were also facing, thanks to Governor Evers, who's David Crowley's BFF, and thanks to Milwaukee Public Schools. So David Crowley is personally responsible for making things less affordable by, we can put a number on, by 1%. He made things less affordable by, well, okay, 0.5%. Every single thing got 0.5% more unaffordable thanks to David Crowley in Milwaukee County. Now, what do you think he would do to affordability across the state? So you would think, okay, we get this influx of cash. We get all of the new sales tax revenue. You would think, all right, hallelujah, hallelujah, our problems are solved. It's like Justin Bieber's song. You've got David Crowley singing new sales tax, hallelujah. State shared revenue, hallelujah. Even bigger structural deficit, hallelujah. Oh, wait, nope, don't want that. But that's exactly what's happening. There is now a projected $51 million structural deficit in the 2027 budget. How? With this massive influx of cash from the state, with a massive influx of cash from the taxpayers that you just soaked. Big share from the Milwaukee County transit system, which, of course, is going to now have to cut routes because of the failure of county leaders, including David Crowley himself, to adequately prepare for all of the issues that the county transit system would face. Now, there's a structural deficit of nearly $16 million, and MCTS just last month said they're going to cut bus routes by about 25%. 25% reduction in all service hours for buses starting in 2027. They're going to have to fully redesign the network to focus on higher demand corridors. What that means, in layman's terms, is that poorer people are going to suffer because the buses don't come out to those areas as often, and the higher traffic corridors of downtown areas where people are taking buses a lot, they're going to be, in other words, it's the richer people of Milwaukee County who are going to be benefited by this, or at least they're not going to be as impacted by this. And under County Executive McGurk, the poor are going to suffer. I'm telling you, folks, okay, Tom Tiffany can no longer say it's common sense versus crazy, but common sense versus incompetence, that, I think, is a pretty powerful argument, because if there's one thing we know about the way David Crowley has run Milwaukee County for 6 years now, the hallmark of his leadership has been incompetence. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the place you want to go, Lynch McGuanago Traffic Center.
2 right lanes remain blocked, 894 northbound coming off of the Hale interchange with ongoing pavement repair. Westbound on 894 as a result is jammed from 60th Street. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Infinity Exteriors. The best lifetime workmanship warranty, fully transparent pricing, and over 60,000 happy customers. At Infinity Exteriors, they're on a mission to save communities from unscrupulous contractors. InfinityExteriors.com.
You, Vegas, and the hottest musical acts in the world. That sounds downright volatile. Play the iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest 3 times each weekday. Listen for a keyword to text in, with winners getting a trip for 2 to the iHeartRadio Music Festival in Las Vegas on September 18th and 19th, plus a $1,000 gift card.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyway Contest is presented by Holiday Automotive on Highways 41 and 23 in Fond du Lac. Holiday is Wisconsin's top used truck dealer with a huge selection and hometown values. It's worth the trip.
Hey, it's Dan. If your power goes off in your home, what really happens? If it's off for a few hours or more, your sump pump shuts down. Bad news for your basement. More than 4 hours, food and medicine starts to go bad. And more than 12 hours, your HVAC system shuts down. Not good. Protect what matters most by calling Current Electric. The Current Electric whole home standby generator kicks in within seconds of the power going out. Go to callcurrent.com and receive a free 1 year of monitoring with purchase in August. Callcurrent.com.
Hi, I'm Jenna, a provider at Ortho ASAP and a mom of 2 active kids. Our Ortho ASAP walk-in clinic is perfect for busy families like mine. Whether it's a sprain, strain, or a more serious injury, we're here to provide immediate specialized care with on-site x-rays and MRIs. We make it convenient and quick. Trust us to get your kids back in the game. Visit us in Brookfield or Pewaukee or online at orthowisconsin.com. Remember, Ortho ASAP for immediate specialized care.
I'm Eric Krolowitz from Good Health Saunas. Check out Good Health Saunas, massive display at the Wisconsin State Fair Park, August 6th through August 16th. See every model be set up, feel them, touch them, try them out, and compare to find the ideal sauna for you and the entire family. Attendees will receive huge discounts on our show display floor models. Come early, they always sell out. GoodHealthSaunas.com or 365 days a year at 2242 West Blue Mound Road in Waukesha next to Home Depot.
Looking to build or remodel? Then don't miss the 80th MBA Parade of Homes presented by Nuns. Explore 17 extraordinary homes in 2 locations, Quiet Wood in Menominee Falls and the Snyder Farm in Oconomowoc. Each home showcases premium craftsmanship and design shaped for the way you want to live. Walk through spaces that spark ideas, elevate expectations, and inspire your next chapter. The parade runs April 15th through September 7th. For tickets and locations, visit mbaparadeofhomes.com. Here's a harsh fact. 40% of women and nearly 20% of men suffer from varicose or spider veins. Left untreated, these veins can cause tired, heavy legs, swelling, burning, cramping, aching, even restless leg syndrome. In some cases, it can lead to serious health risks like blood clots. USA Vein Clinics offers minimally invasive treatments that take as little as 15 minutes, covered by most insurances. Call 414-244-9380 and schedule your appointment today. Don't wait. Call 414-244-9380 for free information today. Imagine walking, exercising, and sleeping peacefully again. Varicose and spider veins won't go away on their own. USA Vein Clinics can help. Call 414-244-9380 for fast, easy, and affordable solutions. USA Vein Clinic treatments are covered by most insurance plans. Don't put this off any longer. Call 414-244-9380.
Are you ready to transform your home into the home you've always wanted? Hi, Colleen with Tri-County Contracting. We have a mission. Our mission is to help you love your home again. One of the best ways to do that is new siding. Whether you want vinyl or LP SmartSide or Hardy plank siding, new siding can give you the look you want. With lots of options to choose from, we will be your guide as you pick out the perfect siding for your home. Horizontal lap siding, shake, board and batten, cedar accents, there's so much you can do to make your home truly amazing. With our home rendering tool, showrooms, and design consultant, no exterior contractor is going to help you like Tri-County Contracting. Go to TriCountyContractingWI.com and see all the tools you can use to upgrade your home, like our exclusive color selector page. Just click the colors you want and we can make it a reality. Free estimates, free design consultations, open showrooms with friendly staff, and a website built to help you create the home you have always wanted. TriCountyContractingWI.com. Siding that will make you love your home again. Tri-County Contracting.
Training camp is open. The countdown to kickoff is on.
And it's time to get in the game.
iHeartRadio is the official home of the NFL Podcast Network.
We're obviously incredibly excited if you just want to talk about defense.
Get the insight before it's a headline with NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal.
Thank you to Sean McVay.
Chasing a fantasy title, the Late Round Fantasy Football Podcast helps you draft like a genius.
Hopefully it helps you guys out the most.
This
is what football sounds like.
Download the iHeartRadio app, search NFL, and press play.
No radio handy?
No problem. Listen to WISN's live audio stream 24/7 via the web. Just click on the Listen Online tab at newstalk1130.com.
A number of listeners are pointing out other things that County Executive David Crowley did to essentially run the county into the ground. The wheel tax increases, that's a big one. There is another cost of government. The taxes, the fees, all of it going up. What happened to those home values in Milwaukee County? Is it easier to buy a home in Milwaukee County, or is it more difficult? Have taxes gone up, or have they gone down? Has crime gone up, or has it gone down in Milwaukee County under County Executive McGurk? And here's another good one from a listener texting us on the Carpetland USA Flooring Center talk and text line, which, by the way, is always open every minute of every show, 414-799-1130. How about the pools getting closed for, I'm not kidding about this, being located in white neighborhoods? The COVID-19 pandemic, obviously, even before that, there was a massive lifeguard shortage. Kids apparently no longer want to be lifeguards. It seems like a great summer job, although, I don't know. It seems easy. Well, you don't have ADHD. There's no way I could sit there and watch a bunch of kids swimming for like 6 hours at a time. I would totally be on my phone while I'm supposed to be live. I would be fired for sneaking my phone onto the lifeguard stand and like just not even looking up and periodically just be like, walk, please. Dan, there were like 3 kids who were underwater for a minute and a half coming off of the water slide. Yeah, I don't know. I totally missed that one, boss. Man's got to know his limitations. Mine is sitting still and watching stuff. By the way, if you want to sit still and watch stuff, I am going to be on Newsmax right after the top of this hour. I'm literally going to change into a shirt and tie. I'm wearing a red shirt. My videographer, does it look orange on the Dano cam? Kinda. Yeah, a little bit. I swear this is a red shirt. It looks like I'm getting ready for Halloween. It does. I'm looking at myself right now. This looks like an orange shirt. I thought it was going to be like a bold symbol. Hey, I am standing with the red-blooded Americans. Tom Tiffany, the red, color of Republicans in the presidential race. I guess now that we've defeated the Reds, it's okay to wear the color red again. No, I'm serious. It looks orange. County Executive Crowley actually has been using since 2020 as a criteria for which pools to open and which pools to keep shut down, DEI, as in how many black kids a particular pool will service. If a neighborhood is deemed to be too white, the pool stays closed. For example, the pool I grew up going to, the Hales Corners pool, it's just so sad. I drive by there. I used to, before my knee exploded earlier this year, I used to jog near Hales Corners Park. It is just so sad in the summer, remembering all of the great times. Armin, you grew up around. You grew up in Greenfield. Did you go to the Hales Corners pool? No, were you a McCarty pool kid? Oh, you didn't have any public pool? Oh, not on the east side of Greenfield. What did you do? Like take off your shoes and socks and walk around puddles? Like how did you had sprinklers. Yeah, we had the slip and slide. Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Well, Cool Waters didn't open until we were a little older. Yeah. Cool Waters is always going to be open because it's a huge revenue generator with the water slides and such. Hales Corners Pool, I don't believe has been open for almost a decade now. They might as well just pave over it because that thing is dead. Why? Because County Executive McGurk determined that there is not enough racial diversity in the people who use the Hales Corners Pool. In what way is that a fair or equitable way of using resources? If say Waukesha County only kept its pools open based on how many white kids were in the vicinity, this would be the most racist thing in the world. But alas, such is life in Milwaukee County under the DEI county executive tenure of Dirt McGurk. Dan O'Donnell Show, right back in just a second. It is conservative thought, not just talk.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford, Total Traffic Center.
All lanes remain shut down northbound on the Rock Freeway from Highway 50 to Highway 67 with crash cleanup. Also got a couple crashes, 94 eastbound, one at Mitchell Boulevard, another at 35th, both off to the shoulder. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Audible. When you start listening to books on Audible, traffic might seem like less of an annoyance and more of an opportunity for another chapter. Audible, stories that speak to you. New members can start listening with a 30-day free trial at audible.com.
Simplify keeps you safe, warm, and dry. For a free estimate, go to simplifyroofing.com.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve, here to tell you about Grieve Civil Law. There's a lot of things in life we put off for far too long. Going to the doctor or the gym or the dentist. We know we should do it, but there's always something else more urgent. Estate planning cannot be put off. Life is unexpected. Have you thought about what your family would go through if you died without a will? Probate is stressful, time-consuming, and costly. It can cause family disputes and resentment. Is that what you want your legacy to be? Don't procrastinate when it comes to your family's future. Protect them from chaos and confusion. Don't let your legacy be the mess you left them with. You probably hear a lot of ads that say, time is running out, don't wait. It's a marketing gimmick. We all know there will be another sale soon. When it comes to estate planning, time is literally running out. Plan today and have peace of mind tomorrow. Don't gamble with your life's work. Don't gamble with your family's future. GrieveCivilLaw.com, because time is running out.
Neglecting concrete or asphalt problems is like neglecting a cavity. It isn't going to fix itself, and the longer you leave it, the worse it is going to get. And the more it's going to cost to fix.
MudTech's here to save the day. 262-337-0934.
Eliminate unsightly, even dangerous concrete and asphalt problems while increasing your business's curb appeal. Safer, user-friendly concrete and asphalt costs less than you think. MudTech!
262-337-0934.
Better curb appeal brings more tenants, more customers, and happier neighbors.
MudTech! 262-337-0934.
Seal Coat makes old gray asphalt new again. Cracks and plow bending potholes disappear. Trip hazards are quickly and inexpensively raised or replaced back to grade with MudTech. Having Wisconsin's premier pavement technicians repair the damage from washed out concrete and asphalt will double the life of your pavement.
MudTech. 262-337-0934.
MudTech resolves every concrete or asphalt problem, leaving your pavement smooth, your life worry-free, and enough money in your bank to take the kind of trip you want to take. MudTechWorks.com.
I'm attorney Tom Grieve with Grieve Law. If you're charged with a drunk driving, you're not just looking at a ticket. You're looking at a permanent mark on your record that can affect your career and your ability to rent a car or travel internationally, not to mention the classes you'll need to take or the ignition interlock device that you'll have to install. Your license will be revoked, and even with a work permit, you're one long meeting or traffic jam away from driving revoked and facing up to 1 year in jail. That's a lot more than just a ticket. And if you pay the ticket without a fight, you are agreeing to be on the hook for all of it. At Grieve Law, we believe one mistake shouldn't define your life. Our seasoned criminal defense attorneys focus on OWI cases with a track record of getting results. We examine your case, challenge field sobriety tests, scrutinize breathalyzer accuracy, and expose the weaknesses in the prosecution's case. If you have been arrested for an OWI, you're facing serious consequences. But with Grieve Law in your corner, you are far from facing them alone. Contact Grieve Law for your OWI defense. You are only guilty if you are convicted. GrieveLaw.com.
No matter what business you're in, as the #1 SBA lender in Wisconsin, Summit Credit Union helps your vision take shape with loan programs, great rates, and strategic solutions. Awarded #1 SBA lender by the Small Business Administration of Wisconsin in 2025.
Create the deck of your dreams with Menards. Build your outdoor project from the largest in-stock selection of AC2 lumber and thick decking. All pressure treated for enhanced durability, and it's easy to load in our drive-through lumber yard. Plus, get free estimates with our easy-to-use deck design program, available in-store or on Menards.com. Save big on AC2 pressure treated lumber and thick decking. Plus, check out our weekly flyer online for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
I'm not great with words after a fight, and I'm sorry, wasn't cutting it this time. So I used Smile Tunes to write a soulful ballad about how she's always right. By the second chorus, the silent treatment was officially over. Visit smiletunes.com and get out of the doghouse today.
In 21st century America, it's hard to know who or what to believe. The bureaucracy embraces its own agenda. The news media vilifies traditional American values. Social media is a sewer of disinformation. News Talk 1130 WISN is the counterpoint to all of it. We believe in intellectual honesty, and we believe that good and decent people are more than capable of processing that honesty and be better off for it. Believe us, because we believe in you. News Talk 1130 WISN.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Really wanted to get into this earlier. The Milwaukee County executive, who is now the Democratic nominee for governor, and many of you think is downright unbeatable, may have illegally transferred $142,000 from his county executive campaign account to his state gubernatorial campaign account, with some funds originating from registered lobbyists. According to the Cap Times, this was an ethics complaint filed with the Wisconsin Ethics Commission by a resident in Verona, which, of course, is going to go away now that, the people of Verona, in Fair Verona, where they all wanted, apparently, Franny Hong, the complaint claimed a mix of individual and in-kind contributions, included funds from registered lobbyists not yet cleared to donate to a state-level gubernatorial run. According to the Cap Times, the Crowley campaign says this is largely meritless, which is not meritless. Largely is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that statement. The allegation is that he deliberately exceeded campaign contribution limits and accepted illegal lobbyist donations. Now, why exactly was this largely ignored until this exact moment that I'm bringing it up? Because it happened at almost the exact same moment that the Sarah Rodriguez campaign finance scandal was going thermonuclear. This is kind of a big deal. If it is, in fact, what it is alleged to be. A spokesperson for Crowley's campaign, though, told the Cap Times they received the complaint July 23rd and were reviewing it, but they believe the allegations are largely meritless. We followed Ethics Commission guidance about transferring between committees. The unnamed spokesperson said, noted the commission has not yet determined whether the campaign did anything wrong. Well, I can tell you what radio show is going to be following up on that tomorrow? We will be back, of course, 3:06 p.m. I'm going to actually just change into a shirt and tie, and I will be on the Rob Schmidt Show on Newsmax in about 10 minutes. Hope to talk to you then. Have a great night, Wisconsin. You've been listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.